I'm pretty sure it's live because otherwise I wouldn't have sneezed.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is a legend that if Creepy sneezes, that means we're live
streaming.
I
didn't clear the jar before we went. We got one more subscriber, so there's just a demonetization symbol sitting in the tip jar.
Of course.
Okay, so yes, I hear myself on someone's end. So yes, we're definitely live.
Awesome.
Okay, so hello World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shot, the Internet Personality Best Hair, and welcome to Live and Wired episode 54. And happy, oh god, I'm hearing myself again.
Oh dear.
I am so annoying. I cannot stand the sound of my own voice. Okay, either that or I'm just really loud. Or both. It could be both. I mean, this isn't... I don't want to do a false dichotomy here.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah, so, okay, we are definitely... Okay, Creepy is out.
Oh, okay.
I guess it was Creepy. He needed to... Alright, so, yeah, Creepy should be back soon. I clicked over to the triple camera view, so it still looks nice.
Hello.
But, yeah, we have a fourth, or I guess now third, guest. Or would it be... Oh, god, yeah, that's what I was worried about. Okay.
I think I'm number 4 again now.
There we go.
Okay, I figured out what the problem was. Apparently, when I thought I was clicking on the link to the live stream on YouTube, I was actually hitting... I pushed play. So that feedback you were hearing where you were hearing your own voice and very annoyed, like you were trapped in your own personal hell, which is good to know now, by the way.
So my hell is just having to listen to myself.
Yes. So I had to sign out of Discord. I had to log out of the chat, sign out of Discord, and then sign back into it, and then rejoin the chat so to get that to stop playing.
Yeah. You know, it's such a shame because Discord is such a great quality, streaming, platform. But it's just too bad that for most people, unlike ourselves, who have done this for years on end, some new people can't get to grips with it. Still, it's still difficult.
But yes, new person here. So, would you like to introduce yourself, Patricia? Would you like to introduce? I have no idea who he is. That's probably not the nicest thing to say to a content creator.
That's okay.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Aaron Meta. I host the Aaron Meta Show radio show. I started off on terrestrial radio back in 2008-ish, and so I was doing talk radio across Manchester and also in South Manchester as well. That kind of branched out to me doing my own podcast and doing my own online radio show, and so I'm currently on hiatus right now, and so mainly things I talk about is news, entertainment, sport, pro wrestling, Preston North End. Come on, Preston, come on, you whites. Also, just want to let you guys know that I'm also on Facebook.com/Aaron Meta Show, Twitter.com/Aaron Meta Show, Instagram is Aaron Meta Show, AaronMeta.tumblr.com, and you can also find me on podcast feeds such as iTunes, Player FM, Stitcher, and also on various podcast feeds as well, and also Apple.
Okay, now I have a very good idea of who you are.
Yes.
So you're slumming with us. This is you slumming it, basically.
I thought that does explain why I didn't know, as I was born on the wrong side of the pond.
Well, so to be honest with you, I think you and I, if let me safely say this, if Brexit is going to go the way that I think it's going to go, I think you and I are going to have far more in common than you actually would like to think. Right now it seems that we're just drifting away from this continent that we call Europe, and apparently all that peace and things that we've had for the last 75 years apparently means nothing to some people. So we decided, hey, we're going to sell all our healthcare, we're going to sell all our companies, and we're going to sell everything that's right now to any American corporation. So, as far as we're concerned, it's closing down sale here at Britain. Everything must go.
Yeah.
So we can all come together under leaders with terrible hair.
Very much, yeah. And why call him prime minister at this point? We might as well just call him senator. That's where Britain's going right now.
Hey, look at it this way, though. Guy Fawkes masks will be coming back in style finally again.
They went out.
Well, I don't know about that. I think we have this website called Guide of Forks, and basically it's a far-right, crazy website, and so they've kind of like hijacked the Guy Fawkes kind of persona of like, anti-government. We don't really see the irony that the fact that Guy Fawkes was this anti-government figure, and now they basically turned into kind of like this kind of like authoritarian kind of like, he is part of the establishment, if you will.
Well, look at it this way.
Yeah, they ruined Guy Fawkes in this country.
In America, we have the modern day Tea Party. In the 1600s, the Tea Party.
Oh yeah, the Boston Tea Party, the actual Tea Party.
Yeah, there were a bunch of rebels that were throwing supplies off of ships. Nowadays, you have this far right group of nutcases who call themselves the American Tea Party political group, and you're just like, and the first time I heard about this, I was just like,
so we're just diving right into politics here, head first.
We don't usually talk about this until like the end of the show. Actually,
I try to keep off politics as much as possible.
How can we not talk about it at this point?
Because I want to be happy. I just like, you know what? Hey guys, you ever thought about fucking a xenomorph? That's apolitical right there.
You know what I would like? I would like to have a summer house out in Florida. I would love to have, a boat full of bikini babes. I would love to have like all sorts of amazing things in my life. But you can't always get what you want, but at least you can take what you.
Yeah. All right. So I guess let's go over to one bit of controversy and let's go over to another about what qualifies as a Christmas movie, because people have been debating for years about like this movie takes place around Christmas, but then it's not a Christmas movie. We've already discussed a few months ago about that. Fox has confirmed that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, even though many people say it isn't, but they still say it is. Even Fox has confirmed it. But now there's another 80s action movie that wants to claim itself as a Christmas movie.
So it is kind of funny because I'm fine with Die Hard a Christmas movie. Yeah, works for me. And then people inevitably come around and say, well, if you say that's a Christmas movie, then this also is a Christmas movie. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'll even say this. If I had a choice between watching, Die Hard and, Grandma got run over by a reindeer, I think I'd probably choose Die Hard like probably every single
There's a bit more crossover there than I was initially thinking.
Exactly, yeah.
I actually had this conversation with my godmother several days ago where we ate lunch somewhere, and over the PA system, they started playing that song, "It's Bad Outside." Baby, it's
it's cold outside. Yeah.
Baby, it's cold outside. Yeah.
Right. We were talking about how disturbing that is, and she pointed out like, well, look at Grandma got run over by a reindeer. It's like there are a lot of Christmas songs out there that are just like if you listen to them, you're just like, the hell is wrong with people?
It's true.
Also, we just got $2 super chat from Creed Nation. He asks, can we not talk about politics or religion ever?
That's very hard to do.
I mean, I've got to be honest with guys. I mean, like, you just look what's going on right now. I mean, I think it's too fragile to say not talk about politics.
I like having the entire world burning around me, and I'm just going to sit there in my armchair and like, yeah, but I don't want to get political.
Yeah, right. It's kind of like that meme that's a dog that sits in his house that's on fire and is like, "This is fine."
Yeah, this is fine. The human version of that.
So for me, like, it's I'm going to be coming back in January, and I guarantee you, like, if you think I wasn't talking about politics, the last couple of shows I've done, over the year, and let me tell you something, we're going to ramp this up, come January. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, then. So the 80s action movie that I was referring to when it comes to stating that it wants to be a Christmas movie similar to Die Hard is Lethal Weapon. So I'm just going to pull up the link right over here, and I'm going to give a quick run to it. Okay, here we go. No, thank you. All right, so according to Cinema Blend, if Die Hard... there we go. Thank you. Okay, according to Cinema Blend, if Die Hard is a Christmas movie, that means Lethal Weapon is too. Every Christmas, the same old debates come to play. Was Ebenezer Scrooge really changed? Did Mrs. Deagle really deserve to die at the hands of gremlins? Does fruitcake count as a war crime? But as one of the great debates is over, as what sort of film constitutes as a Christmas movie, and both Die Hard and Lethal Weapon have been put through the particular ringer one too many times. So let's settle this once and for all. If Die Hard is a Christmas movie, then Lethal Weapon is too. We're going to weigh on both films individually, as well as pull some evidence from the people behind both films to see why the case is as solid as Roger Murtaugh's sensibilities. Of course, there will be a chance for you, the public, to weigh in on your own thoughts and matters. So let's get into the case on whether both Die Hard and Lethal Weapon are Christmas movies. So we already did the whole Die Hard thing, which is I'm just going to skip through that. So let's talk about Lethal Weapon. Knowing what we know about Die Hard, let's look at what makes Lethal Weapon a Christmas movie. Is it set around Christmas? Like most, if not of all writer Shane Black's filmography, yes, it is. If that's the case, then The Predator is probably like one of the worst Christmas movies of all time.
That was a Halloween movie, actually.
Oh, okay then. So, yeah, sure.
And it's still one of the worst ones of all time.
Okay. But yes, I mean, essentially nowadays, I mean, isn't Halloween like proto-Christmas?
Oh, yeah. They were definitely putting up Christmas lights already.
Yeah, they were. I mean, I feel sorry for, like, you know, Halloween, and I guess Thanksgiving is sort of like the middle child who doesn't get any attention whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But then again, it has its own fair share of controversies, but that's beside the point. Does the film have a message of selfless devotion to duty and family together? Danny Glover's Roger Murtaugh exemplifies those values perfectly, and we see that through his relationship with his own family around Christmas time. But the one thing that really ties Lethal Weapon into the Christmas movie canon,
God damn it, YouTube.
Besides the opening...
Sorry, I just got an email from YouTube letting me know that Live and Wired is currently live on my channel. Yes,
oh, wow.
I am aware of this.
I was going to say, like, YouTube is usually like they just basically tell you the freaking obvious. I think that's the kind of like that's their thing. You know, like, you know, you uploaded a YouTube video today. It's like, yay, you know, I know.
It got a copyright strike. Of course it did.
Of course it did. Yeah, exactly. You know, do you know, it's funny, like, you know, in regards to copyright strikes, like, after seeing what happened with my channel and like seeing videos getting taken down constantly, I just kind of like said, you know, enough is enough. You know, I took down all my videos, kind of just going to say, look, Liberated Syndication treat me with far better respect than YouTube ever does. And also, you know, they throw my content in far more places than YouTube does. So, like, you know, for those people who are listening and wonder why, you know, if I left, you know, that's why. Because, you know, where one company treats me far better than the other. So
yeah, which is a shame, really. All right, so besides the opening usage of Jingle Bell Rock, what would...
Sorry, on the chat, Jesse Goyardo's asking, what happened to Creepy? Anthony Hudak's asking, Creepy, why do you have an accent?
Well, first of all, my name's not Creepy. My name is Aaron Meta, and I host the Aaron Meta Show. So, yeah, the more you know.
Yes, Creepy went through a European vacation, apparently.
Which was still better than Road Trip. Although not by much.
Let's see, where was I? Besides the opening use... Oh, yeah, Lethal Weapon. Okay, so besides the opening usage of Jingle Bell Rock, or even the fact that the film has an action set piece in the middle of a Christmas tree lot, is Mel Gibson's Martin, a suicidal mess who's a loose cannon. Riggs isn't exactly the jolliest cop on the LAPD beat when we meet him. And yet through the caper that throws him together with Murtaugh as a partner, Riggs goes through a Christmas Carol-style journey that helps him become a better man. Making a friend in Roger Murtaugh, Martin Riggs eventually becomes a better person after a harrowing Christmas, and even spends Christmas with the entire Murtaugh family, allowing him to give a symbolic gift that proves that he's a changed man. Does Lethal Weapon meet the standards of a Christmas movie? Yes, it absolutely does. And to help prove that fact, we have evidence by none other than Die Hard writer Steven DeSouza, who freely admits that thanks to Lethal Weapon, Die Hard was inspired to become a Christmas classic in the making. So yeah, we already know about the whole, what people have Die Hard had to say about it, because we already discussed about that last year. So let's see. So basically, before this very case study is a poll that we have to take in on how we feel about both Die Hard and Lethal Weapon. And if your case you're in the fighting mood, head over to our explanation on why Iron Man 3 is a Christmas movie.
People in the chat are saying technically Prometheus could be a Christmas movie because they do land on Christmas. I'm thinking that's kind of a stretch, personally. Simply because they do land on Christmas. There is a Christmas tree. He sets it up. He mentions it's Christmas, and you got to keep the holidays. So no, time's still moving. Da, da, da. But other than that one scene, it doesn't matter.
For me, I think the rule book's been thrown out at this stage. I mean, I watched The Incredibles at Christmas. Crying out loud. And that's not a Christmas movie by any stretch of the imagination. All these movies that are non-Christmas related, they're always on the TV. And it's obviously there's going to be the constant Christmas classics that are going to be on TV, which
Christmas movies are the ones you watch around Christmas time. I get confused because I just grab eggnog whenever it's available, personally.
Well, I mean, I don't know about food, but in regards to movies, here in the UK at least, they'll play anything as far as I'm concerned.
My nephew is 3. And he loves watching The Grinch.
Which one?
And Jim Carrey.
Oh,
no. Over and over again. All year long.
I'm so sorry, Decker.
In regards to The Grinch, I don't like everything around The Grinch, but Jim Carrey's performance I actually did like. I'll be honest.
I did too. That's the one thing that I did like. Everything else, the whole backstory of the Grinch is trying to force in. Oh, this is why the Grinch is acting like this. It's I just felt it was a little forced. And he was more sarcastic than just angry. I mean, there were some points in which he was, but still.
There's the original story where the Grinch doesn't like Whoville because they're loud and annoying, and then there's the Jim Carrey movie where the Grinch doesn't like Whoville because they horribly abused him as a child for no reason.
Yeah.
Yes. And then there's the Illumination Grinch version in which he doesn't like Christmas because of his sad backstory, and everything surrounding Christmas makes him feel depressed.
Okay.
Thank you, Illumination. Although I do admit I do like Benedict Cumberbatch's The Grinch. He was actually pretty nice.
I do like you said, Jim Carrey. He was more sarcastic and just kind of surly at times. He wasn't outright mean. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Most of Whoville were jerks in that movie.
Yeah.
To me, the idea of a Christmas movie is more like watching the Doctor Who Christmas special that comes on Christmas Day.
That's a good one.
John Washburn is Whoville was full of racists. Pretty much.
Yeah.
They were prejudiced against green, hairy people.
Yeah, and it took an elephant for them to rescue him.
Okay, Toby Kirkby, you're confusing me here. He says, controversial opinion. Groundhog Day was a Christmas movie in spirit.
But Groundhog Day is its own holiday.
I spent too much of my life in Pennsylvania to let this slide. Groundhog Day is a thing. It's very serious. You have to know where the frickin' thing sees its shadow or not for whether or not the dang winter is going to last 6 more weeks.
Yeah.
Early spring, he comes out.
I do get what he's saying. I do, there's the whole spiritual journey of where Bill Murray's character slowly becomes a better person, which is similar to the transition of Ebenezer Scrooge from where he is at the start of the story to where he ends up at the very end. And there's a point here, but I'm sticking to it's one of the very few Groundhog's Day movies. I do know that there are a couple of Groundhog's Day loop concepts that are set at Christmas where the Scrooge's character ends up in a loop where they repeat Christmas Day over and over again, and it's like they're trapped in their.
Didn't they do that with the what the hell is the name of the damn ducks?
Ducks?
Huey, Louie, and whoever the hell.
Oh, DuckTales, yeah.
It wasn't DuckTales. It didn't have all the rest. It was just them and Donald.
Oh, Quack Pack! Oh my God, you remember Quack?
Well, they had a thing with the Groundhog Day sort of stuff with Christmas every day, kind of.
I don't remember that.
When the Disney afternoon was wrapping up, and basically they just kind of stuffed all the cartoon shows like duck related shows, wasn't that?
Yeah, like the Mighty Ducks animated series.
Yeah, like it was a sad way to go, really, when you think about it. Like, no much variety, and then all of a sudden, you kind of just died a death, really.
So
Yeah. One of
re-
my favorite Christmas movies that's kind of like non-traditional is Tokyo Godfathers. It's a really I know. It's a out there one. I mean, it's done by Satoshi Kon, so it's not too surprising, but it's actually a really good one. You have three homeless people who found a baby in a dumpster and are trying to care for it and find out who they can be able to drop it over towards so that it can be cared for. And it's getting a new dub next year. So excuse me. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, I've discovered it ago when I was in college and I was in this anime club and they put that on. So yeah, it's always kind of like been a tradition for me to watch that alongside with some of the other Christmas staples.
I have kind of a mixed bag when it comes to Christmas movies because I grew up in a very traditional Protestant Southern Baptist household. So around this time of year, there was like you constantly heard like Christmas is about Jesus. It's about the birth of Christ. You hear this like ad nauseum. You have to wear a costume and be in a Christmas pageant, that you perform a few days before the actual holiday. And then you would go home and you would watch all these Christmas specials. And what do the Christmas specials promote? They're like, if you don't get any gifts at Christmas time, Christmas is ruined. And I am not watch most Christmas. And this isn't like a new thing. This isn't like, the way Christmas is commercialized now. I'm talking about Christmas specials that are like from the 60s and 70s where like the only thing that matters is that this fat guy gets his ass into the sleigh and delivers toys to kids on time. Otherwise, Christmas is ruined forever.
Yeah, like some of the Rankin Bass specials.
We got a $2 super chat from Motorcycle US asking, is there a good reason to horribly abuse a child? In reference, of course, to me saying that they horribly abused him as a child for no good reason.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what?
Absolutely. Well, in general context, absolutely not. There's no reason to abuse a child in any way.
Speaking of our childhood Christmases and horrible child abuse, I could discuss how Christmas was for me growing up.
Yes, story time with Decker.
So, for those of you who have missed every time I take the opportunity to mention this over the last 8 years, childhood not very good. Like, malnourishment high, not seeing the sun, not really being part of society, that kind of thing. Father, kind of on the crazy side. He was very, very, very religious, but I can't really say he was of any specific denomination because I don't think he was representative of any denomination. He was a paranoid schizophrenic. It's really bad stuff. And for him, every single holiday, except Thanksgiving for some reason, but every holiday was satanic. Very much including Christmas. Because, you see, Santa, it's the same letters as Satan.
Yeah.
It's obvious, guys. So I was, extremely young age, being told that Christmas is the time that Satan comes down your chimney to kill you. So and it's like, okay? Then why does everyone celebrate it? That sounds horrible. Okay. They aren't enlightened.
All right.
It's kind of obvious when something comes down your chimney and murders the children that something's wrong, isn't it?
If I may, for all four of us and for everybody watching, this actually does explain so much. And secondly, it also explains Decker's love of Black Christmas, the movie Black Christmas.
Well, nowadays you have to decipher which Black Christmas because there's 3 versions of them.
That's true. Yeah.
Which is it? Is it the 70s version, the 2006 version?
It kind of cut out there, Patricia, but I think you're mentioning the most recent one that I believe.
Yeah, I was mentioning the most recent one, yeah.
It didn't do particularly well, but I think it might have still got a profit. I don't know. It depends on how much money they spent on marketing.
Yeah, it didn't do very well. I think it did slightly more than the 2006 version, but not by a lot.
But the budget for the movie also wasn't very large anyway, so...
No, it wasn't. No. Oh, well. Let's go over to our... Yeah. Oh, yeah, you have a $5 comment from John Horn who says, "Look at how a single candle can both defy and define the darkness." Quote by Anne Frank. So thank you very much for that, John.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go over to our next set of news.
Should we, since we were talking about what is and is not a Christmas movie, can we bring up the Twitter poll?
Oh, yes, let's do so.
Okay, so relatively simple Twitter poll this time, considering last time Let's not talk about what I did last time.
Let's not.
So, this time on Live and Wired, if you were to die in a Christmas-themed horror movie, how would it happen? Option the number 1 is by drowning in eggnog, which is certainly how I would like to go. It doesn't even need alcohol in it, honestly. Eggnog's just awesome. I will fight anyone who disagrees. Choice number 2 is electrocution via Christmas lights. Choice the number 3, something that might be a little more popular right now, is just generally killed by Krampus, slasher movie style. And the 4th one I had to abbreviate to fit it on the Twitter poll, because it was supposed to be something along the lines of you get crushed to death by about 30 years worth of coal for being naughty. But that doesn't fit, so the best I could do is crushed by naughty coal, which sounds a little bit different. But I think we can work with this.
Better and worse.
So that is on Twitter at Decker's Shadow, 30 minutes starting now. And I will be putting that in the Restream chat to send it out to all platforms.
All right.
There we go.
Aaron, you actually have a... Aaron, you have a question from...
like...
oh, crap. Wrong.
Sorry, go on.
Aaron, you actually have a question from Jake Schuster. Do you watch horror movies?
So my favorite horror movie series, I think, is Friday the 13th, and don't quote me on that because that might change, an episode later. But I love Jason Voorhees. I think he's really also trying to think of other horror movies actually I like as well. I mean, it's not really a horror movie; it's more a thriller. But I liked Spotlight, which was the Boston Globe delving into the pedophile abuse that was going on in the Catholic Church. And so, I mean, it's there's some gripping stuff in there, which kind of scares you a little bit. So it's like, so it's more of a thriller than it is a horror. But yeah, I kind of into that kind of like genre of movie as well.
All right. We have another $5 comment from John.
May I say exactly how jealous I am of your audio quality?
Well, it's years of just doing it really. So it's having a big mixer on my table and everything like that. So
oh yeah, that'll help. I actually have a pretty good microphone. It's just I have a crappy computer it's plugged into.
Oh, funny enough, this is a Samsung microphone, and you can pick them up for like $50 on Amazon. So,
I have an Acer Predator G5, and the audio shielding in that is just it isn't there. So everything's just kind of.
Yeah, I mean that's the reason why I got this kind of big beast on my desk, because it kind of like filters out like all the power and everything like that. The other thing I got to get really right now, which is I got to get like a special like power strip that kind of like dampens out the noise and everything like that. So I can still kind of like hear in my ears kind of like a little bit of a bit of the power, and so I need to get something special to kind of like for my studio for when I sort it all out and everything.
Yeah. $5 comment from John Horn, who also says, thank the day I had, I could shower, also Anne Frank. So thanks once again.
I didn't hear all of that.
Oh, I was just reading off the next comment from John Horn, who said, thank God, after the day I had, I could use a shower, also Anne Frank. So we have we had another Anne Frank quote.
I'll tell you what, I want to give a shout out actually to all my Jewish friends, because they've been some people.
Was that a quote, or was that what the? I don't know. I think that could. Moving on.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to all my. Well, anyway, moving on. I want to give a shout out to all my my friends who are in the Jewish community, because they've been through a lot recently with this whole election, and with a few other things that have been going on as well. So so I want to say happy Hanukkah if you're out there, and just give a shout out to them, because I'm thinking and praying for all you guys.
Oh, another $5 comment from, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher this. New Farzug. I'm
Nubavazi.
sorry. Thank you.
Nubavazi? Oh.
Okay. He said crocodiles are kind of like dinosaurs. So Lake Placid for Dinosember.
Well, I did have a thing lined up, but Dinosember kind of got delayed a bit, and things just. This house is a wreck. My life is a wreck. I don't know what is going on with anything anymore. But the last review of the year and the last review of Dinosember I do have planned. It took all frickin' day to rip this one, because this machine is... I think, like, every computer I have has been pushed about as far as they can go. But this one right here.
Oh, this...
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. In 4K and HDR, if I can pull that off, which I hope to, but it's been very difficult getting the files to cooperate.
Yeah. Oh, this is actually a really interesting question from John Washburn. Decker's life mine was a Lifetime drama. What would be Creepy and Patricia's? So if we were a genre based off of our be.
So a genre based on your life and your child.
Yeah, so you're a horror movie. John Washburn's is a Lifetime movie. So what would me and Creepy be? And I guess I don't know. Like
Patricia, you go first. I don't know. I kind of see you as being like this might sound cliche, but I kind of see Patricia as being kind of like a 90s Nickelodeon animated series where she's the protagonist of her own TV show.
If that is the case, then it's going to have to be something dramatic akin to way, because my life wasn't exactly like sunshine and rainbows. I had to go through some rough patches in my childhood and teenage years.
Oh, so no, I was thinking more like the Unmade Pataki series.
Ah, okay. I can dig that.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, I can picture, Patricia is having to just deal with all this shit at home and at school all the time. And she has, like, this online friend, like you and Kevin, and she just, like, the thing that keeps you sane at the end of the day is that you email each other back and forth talking about what went on.
You won't be wrong, by the way.
I mean, that's kind of how I see you. You're like this late 90s, early 2000s experimental Nickelodeon show, like the Unmade Pataki series, where you're basically, this is my life. like how you told me about As Told by Ginger, and I'm like, I'm saying, or the Unmade Pataki series, and I'm thinking like, somewhere like an amalgamation between those.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what mine was being. I grew. I don't know. I'm a little bit hesitant to say these things because I don't like to talk about them, and two, I always feel like I'm mining for sympathy when I say them. But
sure.
But Decker was very open with his, and of course, I can't let Decker win at anything. I can't let Decker beat me. So let's see. My dad died when I was very, very young. He died in an accident where he was sliced. We lived on a farm. The best to my knowledge, he was driving a tractor. That's a thing that people actually do, by the way, in real life, not just on Green Acres. He somehow fell off, and the bush hog that the tractor was dragging behind it ran over his lower half, and amongst other things, sliced open his the abdominal artery, the femur artery. Decker, help me out here. You're a little bit more knowledgeable on this than I am.
I don't know the technical terms. I've just been playing a lot of Ring Fit Adventure, so I know now to just scream out, "Ow, my adductors."
Yeah, okay. But that's how he died. He bled to death. When my mom, just a couple of years after he died, my mom remarried to a man who, as it turns out, only married her because of the money she got from my dad's life insurance policy. and a couple of other things. Like they had this small nest egg built up. He married her for her money because he was about to lose his house and his company was going broke. So he convinced her to sell our home and move myself and my 2 older sisters in his home, where we shared with his 2 daughters and his son. So I went from being the youngest of 3 kids to being the youngest of 6 kids, 4 of whom were sisters who hated each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a stepbrother who really, really hated me because before I came along...
I think the best way to do this is like a Brady Bunch death metal cover. Just get the right feeling for that.
All the metal covers, that's one I've yet to hear.
Yeah. Say what? I'm sorry, what did you say?
Out of all the metal covers, that's one I've yet to hear. I mean, I've heard of all the other metal covers, but I've never seen one for the Brady Bunch
I'm
movie.
a little surprised that there isn't one on YouTube, I mean, it seems like that's a thing that would have happened by now. It's been...
It probably did, and it's just been completely struck down with copyright claims and just...
Right.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I think there was one for the Golden...
Give Spotify a bit of time. Someone will do it on Spotify. I guarantee you.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I was sexually abused by my stepbrother, who also left me out in the woods all by myself because he was hoping that wild animals would eat me alive. No, I am not making that up. I was physically abused for a little while by my mom, who was really, really unhappy in her marriage. Turns out, I'm not sure how well this will go over because I know this is a touchy subject for some people. And yes, I say that after everything else that I've just said. But turns out my stepfather's house was haunted.
That I did not know of.
Yeah. So... And that was just like the first 10 years or so.
Okay, so I'm picturing indie drama horror movie with a tinge of horror, kind of akin to those movies that have been like really out there over the past few years, more like autobiographical. I would say probably akin to that.
Yeah.
I Spit on Your Grave 5.
Okay, let's not go that far, Decker.
Guys, I hope you don't mind. I actually saw a question for myself from Brandon Kilgore. He asks, what do I think of the reviews of Teddy Ruxpin, and are you planning to team up to do a review with him? I'll be honest with you, I've not heard of him, and I've not seen his content, so you guys are going to have to tell me a bit more about him.
He's very, very in the 90s, very... kind of... He's not, like, pretending like he's for kids or anything like that. He's generally a lot of Sega Genesis, a lot of old 90s stuff, fast food kind of thing, just that sort of scene, and he's a teddy bear.
Oh, cool. Okay, well, I mean, if he wants me on the show, then brilliant, I'll do something with him. But,
we had him on Live and Wired before E3 2018, I believe.
Yes, it was.
Cool. Okay, then.
Yeah. All right, so... After, I guess, now that we have those questions answered between the 3 of us, Aaron, what about you? What kind of genre based off of a movie would you see your life?
Probably a feel-good sports movie, I mean, come on, guys, come on.
Okay.
There
you go.
Now that I've made everyone horribly uncomfortable.
But for those of you who do not know, I've always been a soccer fan. From a very small age that I can remember. I've always watched football with my dad and with.
See, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I do mean to interrupt. It's what I do all the time. But I just remembering just talking about childhood and stuff, and I'm remembering myself as a child. I was just as much of an asshole back then, questioning literally everything. And I remember in America growing up with football and American football, of course, you don't use your feet. So I remember just that was one of the things that kept me from getting into sports was just, but why is it called football? They're picking it up and running around and throwing it. Where
Exactly,
does the foot come into play
It
here?
makes no sense to me either. But well, I mean, like the fact you guys call it soccer and we call it football is confusing enough. But if we had to use the British term football, here it's I've always grown up with the sport, and it's always been one of my favorite things to play, one of my favorite things to watch.
Yeah.
I feel like, and the reason I say feel good sports film is because, for those of you who do not know, Preston North End Football Club is one of the historic.
Okay, Pudox says for the millionth time it's because the ball in football is 12 inches long. So it's kind of like a pound cake.
Well, my team, I love it so much, and the reason I say feel good sports is because a lot of the soccer clubs in the UK, people don't talk about this, and I'm really surprised that sooner or later they're going to find this out. But they're in millions of pounds of debt. These clubs don't make money. But Preston North End right now, we're 2 million in the black. So, we're doing well at the moment, and we're not spending millions on players or on managers or coaches or anything like that. We're basically just, we're literally getting people whoever wants to come around, who's passionate about the club, who want to, do some good things with us. And right now, we're on the edge of potentially being promoted up to the top tier in the league again. So, for me, what we're doing right now here at Preston, I think is miracle. You see all these teams pouring money, millions of dollars into, chasing this dream. And here we are, we basically purchased players for a cart of apples and a butter pie. And all of a sudden, we're doing the same things that these other guys are doing,
Yeah.
So,
So for a quick recap, Decker's horror creepy is indie drama with a touch of horror. I'm a late 90s, early teen show, and Aaron is a feel-good sports movie. So I hope you had your question answered. So I guess we can go over to our next article. So last year we talked about the announcement of Top Gun Maverick and how much we just thought it was like, really? Well, guess what? The trailer is out. And Creepy, you had the most to talk about this last year, so I want you to read the article.
Very well. Fire away.
All right, so here we go. And here's the trailer for those who want to see yourselves. So, all right, go ahead.
Okay.
It is quite...
does anybody else notice how blurry the
text is? It is incredibly blurry for some reason.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, thank you. No, thank you. I mean, I was just looking at it and I'm like, is that just me? Is there something wrong with my eyes?
Wow, I didn't know I could load this up on my DS.
Okay.
Oh my God, I've gone blind.
A new trailer for Top Gun Maverick, released Monday morning, returns Tom Cruise to the cockpit for plenty of gorgeously shot aviation action. Plus, the requisite motorcycle riding, shirtless recreation in games, bar hijinks, servicemen, infighting, tragic funeral, and occasionally loving feeling.
Oh, occasional, sure.
Occasional, right.
I was going to say, does Tom Cruise actually fly in a jet plane in this one, or is the Church of Scientology now finally given him the ability to fly?
Yes.
Good question. Also, I just want to know if they're going to keep touching each other on the butt.
Very similar to how every Star Wars needs to have a lightsaber. Every Top Gun movie at this point should have somebody touching a butt.
You know it was banned in Japan because they thought it was gay porn?
Yes.
You mean it's not?
I think I brought that up last time too, but yes, the original movie was banned in Japan because they looked at it and thought, this is gay porn. Why are they sending us gay porn?
Yeah, I feel bad because
I thought people in bumfuck Texas were touchy about that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna have to probably watch the original Top Gun again because I gotta be honest, I saw it probably years and years and years ago, but never really remembered what it was about or what happened. To be honest with you,
John Holmes dropped $2 and said, "Cruise is the Top Gun, Kilmer is the bottom gun."
Oh no.
Yeah,
we know.
All I remember was basically the only thing I remember from Top Gun is basically that AVGN episode where James Rob's mind trying to land the plane.
Yeah.
And then he lands it with the power glove.
Yes.
Also, Decker, we know it would be the other way around. The sequel picks up decades after the 1986 blockbuster. Well, it would have to at this point. Cruise represents his role as hotshot pilot Pete Maverick Mitchell, now a captain, and teaching a new generation of aviators how to dogfight. Did he ever actually do any dogfighting in the movie? Anyway, Miles Teller co-stars as Bradley Rooster Bradshaw. Actually, I know a guy who was in the Air Force, and his code name was Rooster. This is a pilot trainee and the son of Maverick's late friend, Nick Goose Bradshaw. And by the look of it, he's not a Maverick fan.
So there are just everyone is giving him the bird. Got it.
Yeah. The film also stars Jennifer Connelly, Glenn Powell, John Hamm. So we have plenty of Hamm. Ed Harris and Val Kilmer reprising his role as Iceman and doing the first film he's had in years, I think.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think the last time I saw him in a movie was probably when he was playing Moses in The Prince of Egypt.
Right.
Yeah.
The production also released a new poster on Sunday.
Yeah, and this is the poster right here. So, yep, there it is.
Kind of underwhelming.
I must admire his hair is very aerodynamic.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I have to say, the poster is just kind of there. It doesn't really. It's there's more.
It's like even Tom Cruise is there, like, they made it a Top Gun.
Exactly. Yeah.
This more looks like a remastered version of like Mr. Game and Watch. Look at it.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But
so
everything else, let's reboot Mr. Game and Watch and let's have Tom Cruise star as him.
Sure, why not?
Oh yeah. Speaking of airplanes, though, creepy.
Oh, you finally got it! Yeah.
Finally! I was going to ask you about that. Yeah,
Now, I was also meaning to ask, do you have a copy? Do I need to send you a copy? Do you know?
You need to send me a copy,
Okay.
Unfortunately. I do not have a copy of The Langoliers.
It's like $10 free shipping on Amazon, so I'll get that taken care of.
Okay.
I'll tell you a hilarious story. When I was coming over to Alabama to go see Patricia, I actually I had to get my connecting flight in Atlanta. And I started speaking with somebody who was going to board the same plane as I was, who had a laptop, and so we got talking about that. And so it kind of moved on to like saying, I said to him, "Oh, hey, well, if you think that laptop stuff, you should look at the Panasonic Tough books. They're built to survive a plane crash." And I noticed that a couple of heads turned when I kind of said that. So it was. I didn't mean to kind of imply that a laptop could survive this particular
Unlike
plane.
you.
Yeah. But thankfully, when we got on the plane, it was literally just up in the air and back down again. So either the pilot heard me and wanted to get this plane on the ground as fast as possible. And,
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know that if I die in a plane crash, my internet history will survive.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, because I work in IT, and so I've actually used these. They're called the Panasonic Tough Books, and we used to provide laptops for these for in oil rigs and things like that. So you probably imagine they'd have to survive landing in the ocean and being smashed around and stuff like that, and being put into cargo planes and stuff like that. So they were built to to last, and it was quite funny though because I ended up with one in my possession, and it's because the hard drive had dislodged. And because the thing was so hard to break open to basically the hard drive, we had to send it over to a specialist to actually use the jaws of life to break it open and get that.
I'm literally imagining a tech person trying to get the thing open using a crowbar. That was what was
then the intern comes from the back. You think the heat gun will help? It's blow a little hairdryer on there, maybe the crowbar.
No, it was these tough books are serious stuff. I hope never to deal with them again because they were. I mean, to be fair, they're good machines because obviously they survived. All sorts of. They could probably survive a nuclear blast, maybe. But I hope never to work with them again because they were bitched with. They really were.
Good to know. If nuclear war happens, my internet history will survive.
I want something computerized to survive. Otherwise, how will I live out my Fallout fantasies without a Pip-Boy? I'm probably gonna have so much radiation going on in my brain. The world's really gonna look like it's glitching like a Bethesda game.
Decker, think for just a second. Given the amount of food that you consume that has to be microwaved in order for you to eat it, you probably already have that level of radiation in your brain. Anyway, I think Patricia was trying to say something earlier. I'm sorry.
No. It's okay. I was just about to topic. So one of the things that was on the title card for this episode of Live and Wired is the discussion of Kevin Bacon wanting to bring back the Tremors series. Now, last year we actually did do an episode of Live and Wired where
extra
there was
cheese, no bacon.
Yes, extra cheese, no bacon. That there was supposed to be a Tremors TV series with Kevin Bacon, but that was canceled. So I guess now he wants to try.
There's like a trailer for the pilot that was shown online that looked really nice.
Yeah,
they made a whole damn statue for it.
That's right. Yeah.
There was a Tremors TV series on Sci-Fi back, I think, in the early 2000s.
Yes.
A lot of Farscape fans blame it for getting Farscape canceled. It was actually not true. That was actually not true. The show had nothing to do with Farscape being canceled, but most people didn't even know that Tremors was a show, it made into a TV show. But from what I understand, it was not bad. It was basically, it was just, people in perfection having to deal with these random outbreaks of just weird mutant shit happening.
And there's the albino graboid that wouldn't evolve, but also they had to keep alive because that's what was preventing the other faction from coming in and just declaring, this weird thing, a technicality for why this show is possible.
Right. Basically, the white graboid is the town's guard dog.
Right.
There's also some talk of, Michael Gross has been sharing on his Instagram, they're working on, Tremors 7, I think it is now. Which one is it on? I think it's Tremors 7 they're working on now.
Yeah, I think it is 7, because the last one took place at Antarctica or something.
I thought it was the Arctic or
the Arctic? Yeah, it was the Arctic. You're right. Okay. Yeah, the last one took place in the Arctic. Motorcycle US gave us $2 saying Decker flamethrower / chainsaw for.
Kinda.
Sure.
I'm not sure exactly what I'm getting except from my fiance, who has spent everything she had to get me a nice new rig that I have to put together myself, but that's the way I like it, which is funny because I've never done it before.
That would be fun.
But
this way, how much? Look at all the things you'll have to complain about now.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. Kevin Bacon still wants to revive the Tremors franchise. So, all right, here you go, Decker.
I need a little bit of a zoom.
Yes. There you go.
That's a little too much of a zoom. There we go. Okay.
While you're reading this out, I'm just going to go get a drink, so I'll be back in a minute, yeah.
You bring me one?
No problem.
Okay, yeah, I'll ship it over to you. It'll arrive in about 5 weeks.
I'll wait.
He really will wait for it.
Nearly 30 years after the first Tremors landed in theaters, original star Kevin Bacon is just as interested as ever in returning to the franchise in a continuation of the 1990 film, even if his previous attempt to revive his character never moved forward. The film currently has a passionate cult following, which helped it earn 5 sequels to date. But with his initial box office disappointment, Bacon wasn't interested in returning for the sequels. It's clear that having been away from the franchise for all these years, Bacon is much more interested in pursuing his professional passions than getting involved in something motivated solely by financial response. I think I read that right. It's kind of flickering a little bit, but okay. I have a very specific thing that happened, which was I wanted to reboot Tremors, and worked very hard on it, and did a fantastic pilot with Blumhouse, Bacon shared with Variety. Andrew Miller was the writer of it. We shot the pilot. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm getting some, Blair Witch shit going on here. I thought it was easy, and Sci-Fi decided not to go forward with it. I thought it was cool, and Sci-Fi decided not to go forward with it. I like that character because it was the only character I really looked at and said, I want to know where he is 25 years later. I want to know where the hell the damn website is. We left him at a certain point. He had this extraordinary thing with these worms, underground worms. He's not a smart man, kind of a loser, but he was able to fight those worms. Now let's see what happens to him 25 years down the line. Whew. Starring alongside Bacon in the original film were Burt Ward and Michael Gross, who both went on to reprise their roles in the film's first sequel. Ward left the series by the third film, though Gross returned and has starred in every installment since. Yes, he has. Even the one that takes place back in the Wild West, he's in it. Given the enthusiasm from fans about the series regarding Bacon's return, it seemed like Sci-Fi would surely have picked up the series. Sadly, fans learned last year that Sci-Fi opted not to move forward with the program, leaving us to wonder if another network or possibly a streaming platform could revive the project. I don't know the answer to that. I feel like we've explored the options. Bacon shared of another network reviving the project. God damn. But listen, you never know. Stranger things have happened. Yes, Stranger Things is an amazing series, but I don't think that's going to help you. While fans of the franchise might be frustrated by the TV show's abandonment, goddamn, Tremors 7 Island Fury is currently filming for potential debut in 2020, which will once again star Michael Gross. Haha, you can't get enough of that shit, can you?
Yeah, so,
Tremors 7.
Tremors 7 Island Fury.
So we went from Africa to Antarctica to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what the Twitter poll should have been. What's the next location that Tremors is going to take place in? It started off out in the middle of bumfuck America, so we can't really do that one again. Major city.
Yeah. I was gonna recommend Mississippi, like as a dead last resort. You know, like a place that's even more remote than the desert, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like Dr. Rabbit's World Tour.
Yeah, there you go. Tremors World Tour. That's pretty much.
Tremors Ireland.
Hello there, I am Tremor, the world's only rabbit traveler.
I just want to go. I want the Crab Boys to go to Ireland, eat all the sheep, and then eat the people until it gets too drunk.
There you go. There's your movie. I think we've hit the 30. Decker.
Okay, but also Motorcycle US dropped $2 in super chat asking Decker, how Gross's guy fare against horror icons? How would what's the name of Michael Gross's character again? Dang it.
I don't remember. Every time I hear people talk about him, they just call him Michael Gross.
Well, yeah. I'm trying to remember what was the name of his damn character. Anthony Watson says in the middle of the ocean. Graboids versus sharks.
It's
Burt Gummer. Burt Gummer, yes. Burt Gummer versus horror icons. Now, Burt Gummer's big strength is that he is prepared and armed. That's the thing. He's a little too prepared, but, like, I could imagine him surviving against Jason Voorhees, but I can't imagine him actually being able to kill Jason. Because, yeah, blast him with a 50 BMG, blast him into pieces, and then he just somehow gets back up from that and keeps coming. And it's like, okay, well, fuck me then.
True.
Now I'm imagining
in the video game where you got to go get the jumper and get the axe and just do it that way, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yes, the Twitter poll did complete.
Oh, okay.
55 votes. We have a pretty nicely spaced poll. Nothing too close, nothing too far.
Nice. Coming
in at last place, 14.5% of votes, is Crushed by Naughty Cole. I really should have worded that better.
No, I think you handled it perfectly.
16.
Decker does this a lot. He will say things and claim that he's not trying to imply anything. His speech is just naturally geared towards unintentional innuendo.
So, at 16.4%, Drowned in Eggnog. So, not too many people want to go out the way I do. 23.6% get the relatively quick but excruciatingly painful Xmas light electrocution. There we go. I can read. And that means at a whopping 45.5%, which is less than 50%, which means if we did the poll again and just kept that and the second place, we might get a different result. Killed by Krampus.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
It's to be expected.
It is interesting that Krampus has made a comeback in the last decade, you know?
Well, there was a pretty high-end movie of Krampus.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he played in some video games as well, didn't he? Like, wasn't he in that one that independent video game where, like, he was like this kid in a house and he had to like survive like all the reindeer and things like that creepy stuff going around.
We got a few comments. Merry Xmas DM at Nesteem says, "Never had Naughty Cole. Might be into it."
Oh no.
Salty Wench Media says, "I'm the asshole who always gets stuck checking every single string for bad bulbs, so inevitably that's how I'm going to go out. Wrapped up or zapped out by lead-infused holiday halogens."
Merry Christmas.
Grace Schuster asks, have I ever seen Green Street Hooligans? No, I've not. So, sure about that.
So, what was the other thing? I wish I could be in focus. That would help a lot. But what was the thing we were just asking? Where Tremors should actually appear next? Yes.
Yeah.
What is the next? I feel like we should Twitter poll that out.
Yeah. Why not? Second Twitter poll. I mean, it's an episode of Live and Wire for New Year's, so
makes up for the fact that I missed one last time.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed one.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot.
Yeah.
We got to the end of the show, and then I'm like, crap.
Yeah.
The New Year's coming, so let's have two Twitter polls.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Uh-huh.
All right. So while we're doing that, Aaron, we actually have an article for you to read. So we have some interesting discussions about like all these brand new trademarks for upcoming possible video games, and one of them is from Capcom. They did some new trademarks recently for Dino Crisis and Darkstalkers. So I'm just going to pull up the article right here so you can take a look into that.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just. So what's the title of that one again?
No, I'm going to pull it up, Aaron. Don't worry.
Okay.
So
Sure.
here we go.
I hope I can read it. I don't know if I can from here, to be honest with you.
Double
can you see
click
it?
on her screen.
Yeah, double click on my screen.
Double click your screen. Okay then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, and no, that's not a metaphor.
Okay, I think oh, cool. Okay then. Yeah, for those of you who didn't know, I'm still new to Discord, so that's.
Okay. Motorcycle US gave us another $2 saying Decker. The other icon? Question mark.
Say what?
Okay.
The other icons as well? Question mark from Motorcycle US.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want me to read this out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Give me a second. Sorry. This might be a formality for Capcom, but you could lead to something that might have been waiting for a long time. According to Twitter accounts that tweets out trademark applications in Japan from the Public International Trademark Gazette, Capcom has filed several new trademarks. Apart from Power Stone and Rockman, the ones that genre fans are interested in are Capcom's 1998 panic horror classic Dino Crisis and Vampire, aka Darkstalkers.
Yeah, so this is... so I'll go ahead. Sorry.
According to the listings, the trademarks were filed on November 29th, and if you're expecting me to read Japanese, you got another thing coming.
I don't expect you to. But no, this is what the trademarks look like. So this is one...
I can read that bit. It's called, I think it says Dino Crisis.
Yes, you get an A for effort. Here's a cookie.
Yay!
All right, so yeah, basically, you're very welcome. So basically that's pretty much it. So so we might be possibly getting Dino Crisis and Darkstalkers in the future. So yeah, I remember Dino Crisis was like basically Resident Evil, but dinosaurs. And I remember...
I just remember it's like Dino Crisis 2 is like the only one I played. And a lot of people say that one was not nearly as good.
Yeah, I heard the same thing.
But if that's the case, then the first one better be freaking insanely amazing, because Dino Crisis 2 was fun as hell.
I mean, like, in regards to Dino Crisis, I've not played that in years, so I'm not too sure how I would feel that it's going to come back. But you know what? I'm going to put this out there, and I don't know if this is going to fall on deaf ears or not, but am I the only one who misses the Turok series?
Oh yeah, that'd be a great one to bring back.
See, Turok was an interesting one, because I mean, they had Turok, which did pretty well, but it was technically it didn't really work too well. It was an early N64 game. Fog starts here, so yeah.
Well,
Turok 2 improved.
The Evil was my all-time favorite Turok game, and I played Shadows of Oblivion, but I didn't really get into it all that much. And
that was the third one, right?
That was the third one, yeah. And then they brought out Turok Evolution, and that was terrible.
Yeah, Shadows of Oblivion. They had like the kids, I think.
Yeah. So basically, the story is that Joshua basically was passing down to it was actually his wife, and it was actually his brother that he was passing the Turok, the burden of being Turok to. And so he basically took that from Talsat. So there's an entire lore that was introduced like through the comic books and everything like that. But then Disney bought the rights and basically ruined it in the next. Basically, got rid of that.
Yeah, the Turok game that was like multiplayer only on a cartridge-based system before internet multiplayer was a thing.
Yeah, well, there was a single player mode for Rage Wars as well, and
it was just playing deathmatch pretty much.
Yeah, and so
deathmatch against bots. Woo!
I don't know, like to me, like I'm not too. I mean, it was fun for like doing split screen multiplayer. Me and my friends played it all the time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think there was like a newer one made on the 7th generation of consoles. It was just called Turok, but.
That's the one where they rebooted the franchise, and basically it was just a guy called Turok who basically was dumped on a planet full of dinosaurs. I didn't like it at all. Yeah.
But okay, I do have the second Live and Wired poll is about ready to be posted.
Awesome.
Where should Tremors 8 be set? We already know Tremors 7 is going to be likely Tropical Island. Otherwise, they have a really weird name. And Tremors 6 was in Antarctica, Tremors 5 was in Africa, Tremors 4 was in the Wild West, and 1, 2, and 3 were in Prosperity. So, with that in mind, where should Tremors 8 be set? Choice the number 1 is in a major city, New York or LA. No other major cities exist. Choice the number 2, in the medieval era. Graboids versus Knights. That armor? Be really helpful right about then. Choice the number 3. In the future. Graboids in space. Don't know how I get there, but there they are.
Sure.
And choice the number 4. Everywhere. Tremors World Tour. We have that on Twitter at Decker Shadow. 30 minutes starting now. And I will be sharing that link out shortly.
Motorcycle US gave us another $2 saying Decker only did Jason, so other horror icons. Oh, I get it. Because what would you do?
The other horror icons. Those. Icons. So how would Burt Gummer? I think Burt Gummer would do okay against like xenomorphs, mainly because aliens established you shoot them, they die.
Yeah. What about Hellraiser?
Ooh. Yeah, that's.
Would he be tempted by the box?
I feel like he wouldn't, but everyone else would just open it anyway, and he'd be there in the corner screaming at them, "Are you stupid? Don't open the box!" What? Ting-ting! And out come the Cenobites, and everything's screwed now.
Sure. Let's see. Predator.
Now, Predator matches their prey with their technology. They try to go even up. Bert's tendency of over-preparing, coming loaded for bear, is actually going to work against him in that situation. I feel like the Predators would kill Burt Gummer, and do it rather soon, because he'd be proving very quickly to be a dangerous prey.
That's true. All right. Elm Street.
I think that Freddy would come to Bert acting like the government taking his land. Like, in his dreams, that's his nightmare. Freddy is just coming and just taking all of his land and taxing him. And he's like, ah!
It's my one weakness! Government forms! And they have to be filled out.
He's there, he's reaching for his shotgun, and Kruger just takes his glove and just rips the Constitution, like, ha! And there you go. He's just completely at Freddy's mercy.
What about Pinhead? What about Pinhead?
We did Hellraiser.
We did Hellraiser.
We did? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My bad.
Wishmaster.
Wishmaster. Okay, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. He could say something he really shouldn't to the Jinn.
Yeah.
Especially if we're going by Wishmaster 4 and 3. Dear God. It wouldn't even need to be written well. He would just do it. Okay.
Okay, last one.
I just don't want to think about Wishmaster 3 and 4.
Okay.
As long as I live.
Okay, last one.
Or I'm going to have to get myself a drink.
Okay. A Quiet Place.
Oh, I haven't seen A Quiet Place still. Saw Bird Box.
Okay, Bird Box then. Sure. How about Bird Box?
Ooh.
I just imagine him blindfolded and not giving a shit, going around.
just reach, get the belt feeder into the gun there, and just
Sure.
Probably hit it.
Okay, let's go over to our next topic. So Star Wars Rise of Skywalker has mixed reviews lately. A lot of people tend to either say that they like it or they don't like it. There's no in between whatsoever. So
as far as I can tell, everyone was just pissed off.
Sure. But there's this actually interesting article that I found that looked up the original reviews of Phantom Menace from 20 years ago and see how fan reactions were to that movie, and looking at the mixed reviews on that, where nowadays it's generally considered to be like one of the weakest of these Star Wars. So let's see how time has treated the Phantom Menace. So it's my turn to read this one. So here we go. Okay. Let's see. Remembering the first Star Wars, The Phantom Menace. As Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker reaches cinema, we look back on what critics originally thought of Episode 1. When Star Wars The Phantom Menace first reached cinemas back in 1999, yes, the movie is now 20 years old. I know. Your midlife crisis has just flown by. There was jubilation around the world. A new Star Wars movie, a young Darth Vader, lightsabers, George Lucas back in the directing chair for the first time since 1977. Oh, what joyous times, oh, Kaloo-Kalay. But despite what you're thinking, critics at the time were just as excited as the fans were, giving the movie a flurry of positive reviews. One of the most deliriously inventive movies to have appeared in years, writes one reviewer. Another calls Jar Jar Binks a scene stealer. Yes.
I remember the coverage leading up to the movie where and Jar Jar is like an amazing character, and he's totally CGI, and it's so cool.
Time, of course, has been less kind to The Phantom Menace, with Episode 1 often being viewed as one of the worst installments in the Skywalker saga. With Star Wars Rise of Skywalker reaching cinema as of now, there's never been a better time to look at the first reviews of Star Wars The Phantom Menace. Yes, before you ask, our sister publications SFX and Total Film both feature below. Okay, so let's take a look at the first one. Our very own SFX magazine says the film is undeniably spectacular. Droid armies, thriving cities, and more alien racers than the mind could ever process during a single viewing. There's truly amazing visuals in the movie that will blow away anything that any other filmmaker has ever attempted. And Andrew O'Hagan writes for The Telegraph, The Phantom Menace is probably one of the most deliriously inventive films, go away, I don't want you, to have appeared in years. It displays all of George Lucas's uncommon magic, a wide-eyed genius for adventure narrative that is beyond any ordinary capacity for wonder. And in many respects, the latest episode, I don't want you, Vimy. Go away. Capacity for wonder, and in many respects, a more finished movie than any of the others. It is daring, terrifying, and pompous, and just a title sequence. Yes. Okay, Danny Graydon writes for the BBC, by no means the feared anticlimactic disappointment. Episode 1 vitally succeeds in holding in its own against the legions of blockbuster Star Wars was responsible. It is often deliriously exciting adventure. Wow, they keep saying that term a lot. Deliriously exciting. Hitting the target audience of 10-year-olds and satisfying longtime fans providing the pop culture analysis is discarded. The Hollywood Reporter writes, Lucas and his crew at Industrial Light and Magic have outdone themselves in production design and special effects. Nearly every shot contains a complicated computer-generated effect supplemented by the usual. The film displays one dazzling visual after another, from what seems like hundreds of types of photorealistic creatures to a multitude of elaborate
photorealistic.
Yes.
I gotta be honest with you, like, obviously looking back at these reviews, I mean, obviously you can see that I think there's probably some people there who kind of regret what they said back, 20 years ago. But I mean, like, I'm sure there's a lot of people who will regret a lot of things they did 20 years ago. And so, like, I mean, that to me, it's just you grow up with life and you get new perspectives on things. And then
this one's my favorite, by the way. Stripped of hype and breathless Mr. Lucas is.
You're cutting out pretty bad there, Patricia.
Yeah, you're cutting out pretty bad, Patricia.
I'm sorry. Okay. Stripped of hype and breathless expectations, Mr. Lucas' installment offers a happy surprise. It's up to snuff. It sustains the gee-whiz spirit of the series and offers a swashbuckling extragalactic getaway, creating illusions that are more plausible than the kitchen-raiding raptors of Jurassic.
Swashbuckling?
Yes, swashbuckling.
I mean, yeah. Again, like as I was saying before, like I mean, hindsight's a great thing, Like, who knew that Phantom Menace would be hated so much 20 years down the line? And no doubt there's going to be those hardcore Star Wars fans who said from day one that they didn't like the Phantom Menace and that they shouldn't have touched the Star Wars series. And actually, I kind of want to touch that a little bit. I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for saying this, but Star Wars fans are probably the most self-loathing group of people that I've ever seen in my entire life. They're kind of like, I mean, the one thing I wrote on Facebook about this whole thing, when The Rise of Skywalker came out and the bad reviews started coming out, I basically said, The Rise of Skywalker was possibly bad, but the Star Wars fans make it even worse. It's almost like it's almost like a bunch of drunken football supporters talking about how they won the European Championship back in the 1970s, but nowadays are basically stuck at the bottom of the league, unable to win their local trophy, let alone be a continental champion. And it's like it's just I've never seen a group of people who will be passionate about a topic, but at the same time will loathe basically the same. It's almost kind of like a contradictory kind of like group of people. And no doubt now I'm going to go around comic conventions, probably going to be spat at probably by Star Wars fans now. But I need someone who is in the Star Wars kind of like sphere to kind of explain this to me. How can you be passionate about something but then hate something so much at the same time?
Yeah, I was trying to review all the Star Wars movies, and then after a certain point I was just like, you know what, I'm not enjoying myself. This is way too much where it's like I just don't care enough to deal with all of the crap that comes evidently with watching Star Wars. So you know what, I'm out.
Group of fans will, at least the ones I know, people who like, say fans of like Hey Arnold, fans of like Doug, fans of like, TV shows or films, they will rally round and they will defend to the death, any particular bad or any particular good of their subject matter. They'll basically just go out and do it. Obviously, there's going to be the exceptions rather than the rules. But, it's, it just, to me, like, it feels like, Disney could potentially say, okay, well, we're gonna basically bring it back to like the whole 1970s, kind of feel of like Star Wars. We'll make it feel exactly like, when it was at that time. We're going to get rid of the special effects. We're going to get rid of any, high ranking actors. We're just going to basically put in, that guy who starred in that sitcom, where, 2 episodes, and then we're going to put him, and he's going to basically be known for basically playing that Star Wars character for the rest of his life. And, they could do it right from the way they did the original Star Wars films, and they still wouldn't be satisfied.
And the funny thing about it is that the original Star Wars trilogy, the episodes 4, 5, and 6, they were considered a hit, but like they weren't like universally received. Star Wars didn't really gain the whole "it's perfect" mentality until, I want to say, the early 90s. Up until throughout the 80s, there were still plenty of people who didn't like Star Wars all that much, or who just felt like it was okay. They like when the first movie came out, they were surprised that a sci-fi, well, not really sci-fi. I know, Decker, put down the bitch stick.
It's fantasy with space.
Space fantasy series would be as successful as it was, because movies in this genre weren't typically, but at the same time, it made money. But even then, critics, people were divided about it. Critics and the general public alike were kind of like so-so about it. It didn't gain the almost mythological level of adoration until that didn't start until about the early 90s. Yeah. And that's when that really started to build up. And like that article just showed, The Phantom Menace, when it first came out, got a lot of praise, Yeah. It wasn't until, and the funny thing about it is that until The Phantom Menace really became the black eye in the Star Wars franchise, until that happened, believe it or not, Star Wars the episode 6.
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi, thank you. I almost said Revenge of the Jedi. That was the working title for it for a while, actually. There was even a few handful of posters with that subtitle on it. But that was considered the bad one, because everybody was like not at first, not when it first came out, but then everyone was like, oh, it's the one where the teddy bears defeat the
Guys, you're just walking around a forest for 3 hours, and there's a bunch of Ewoks for stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and it wasn't until...
one other thing I think about this as well is that, we've had The Rise of Skywalker, we've had these prequels, we've had these sequels, and, everybody, this isn't going to be the end. Disney's going to milk this for all they're worth. They're going to want to make all the millions that they can out of the franchise because it's, it's popular and people like it. And so, unfortunately, whether people like it or not, if they don't want to see any more Star Wars movies, so they don't want to, if they don't like the heartache, here's my advice to you. When you go to Comic-Con, stop dressing up as Star Wars characters. When you see anything Star Wars related, don't retweet it, don't like it, don't do anything like that. Basically, just have a massive boycott, as far as I'm concerned. Because when you go to Disney World or something like that, don't pose in front of Darth Vader and Kylo Ren or whatever. Just basically out of sight, out of mind. Let it just kind of die off. If you
want
will.
proof of that? Back in the 80s, there was an Ewoks cartoon series and a Droids cartoon series.
Yeah.
Also, Motorcycle US dropped another $2 super chat saying, "Guys, have the Force, use magic, or The Shining." Given
magic. I'll choose magic.
Given the options, I think magic has the largest variety of things you could do, but at the same time, certain versions of magic have the drawbacks associated.
I still choose magic. All right, let me just continue, and let's get to the good stuff. All right, Peter Travers for Rolling Stone says, comic relief, and boy does this movie need it. Arrives Jar Jar Binks, a scene stealer, a gangly floppy-eared Gungan, voiced hilariously Ahmed Best, but otherwise a fully digital creation. Jar Jar is an alien amphibian who lives in an underwater city and speaks in a pidgin English that still gets the point across. Oh boy.
Also, we got a 2,000 Huff super chat from Carmagen.
Thank you so much.
And they said, and nobody noticed that Starkiller Base actually killed Harrison Ford, a star actor. Death. Hey, that's what we're talking about here. Awesome writing.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about this. I mean, Harrison Ford said he wanted his character to die even in the third movie. So,
Yeah.
sorry,
He's been begging to have his character killed off every time they bring him out.
Exactly. So, I mean, he wanted his character just to go. And to be honest with you, he in The Force Awakens, he went out and in probably the best way possible, in my opinion. I think his character had basically gone from kind of like this cocky. Remember when he was talking about the Force? That's just a bunch of hooey, and then all of a sudden he's giving this impassioned speech about how how it's all real, all of it. That if you were watching from 4 to that moment, you'd feel you felt his performance in that, and so people saying that these series of Star Wars movies we've had being complete failure. I mean, look a bit deeper, because there actually was some gold to be had out of these movies. And so I mean, they weren't all around successes, and believe me, the Star Wars fans will not allow them to be, and neither will any other movie now. Will never be as good as whatever George Lucas did in the 70s. No girl will be as sexy as Princess Leia in that slave costume.
It's kind of funny because the prequel trilogy turned the original trilogy into sort of a legendary pinnacle of movie making, and the sequel trilogy has somehow retroactively turned George Lucas into a genius director.
No. And so, but this is the guy who did Howard the Duck.
So all we have to do is wait for them to make
Magic.
Episodes 10, 11, and 12, and then Rey's trilogy is going to become one of the greatest film series ever made.
I'm not sure. I mean,
I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe we'll come back in probably 10 years' time, and maybe we'll probably be looking back at the other series, and it's kind of oh wow, there's something here that we never really appreciated.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we're still continuing Live and Wired 40 years from now, that we'll be looking back on the reviews of Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and maybe some people will look at it either more of a negative or positive reaction. We'll see. Anyway, I just want to read the last one. The simple fact that this is a fun movie that only dedicated Star Wars haters will fail to enjoy on some. It has the requisite amount of monster madness and laser showering space-based dogfight, and the climactic showdown is everything you hope, combining a pitch battle between Skittle droids and amphibian aliens, an off-world attack on an immense spaceship, and a 3-way lightsaber show. So there you go. Those were the views and critiques from Star Wars: The Phantom Menace 20 years ago.
Yeah, and again, they're relics of their time. Right. we were all caught up in the hype of Star Wars. This was going to be the first Star Wars movie for decades after the original 3. Everyone got sucked up into the hype. Everyone got really excited about it. They all saw the movie. They all bought the toys. They all bought the merchandise. They all read the reviews. Everyone wrote the fan fictions, everything like that. This whole thing just gathered everybody up, and everyone got sucked into it. And it's for me, there's no shame of anyone saying, "Oh, hey, back in the day, I liked the Phantom Menace, and now today I think it sucks." There's no shame in saying that. It's just so don't just feel ashamed that once upon a time you liked this movie, because a lot of people.
I was going through puberty at the time, and Princess Amidala made me feel funny in my pants.
Oh my god!
No one is surprised.
It's again, there's a lot of stuff in, again, we were all 80s and 90s kids here, there's a lot of stuff there at one point we thought was cool, but then we find out it's actually, either been really stupid or why the hell did we like this in the first place?
Fair enough, yeah.
I have friends who liked He-Man and now think he's gay. I mean, it's...
Is that a reason not to like him?
No, yeah, why? Okay, I would like to point out the irony of Decker saying that. Two, I mean, duh. I mean, it wasn't really something that J. Michael Straczynski was trying to hide. He just couldn't. It was the early 80s, and you couldn't do that. But I mean, watch one episode. There's as much as I don't like, like what you were saying earlier, it's like stuff you liked 10, 20 years ago, and now you're embarrassed by. I once liked the Nostalgia Critic, and I'm like, I didn't like how
I did too.
I didn't like how he, his homophobia, but I will admit that he was right. There were a lot of gay jokes in He-Man.
Yeah, but you got to like Nostalgia Critic. Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing about this. I've it's a lot of things we thought were cool back then, or we thought were the best. All of a sudden now it's and there's no shame in that. Opinions change over time. At one point, politically, I was with a certain political party until between 2005 and 2012. And, my opinions changed. And then I left. And now, this is the way I feel about things now. Like, just because you thought that, a couple of years ago doesn't necessarily have to travel with you for the rest of your life.
Very true. Oh, Fireproof78 said, are we going to opinions of Decker's chat? Oh, wow. That's a good question. I mean...
Well, I got people unsubscribing from me every single day. That's how it works.
Like Patricia said, like we'll be 60 years old and still doing Live and Wire. Imagine like Decker is still reviewing things on YouTube when he's 60 years old, and there will be people in the comment section going like, I miss the days, I miss the first few years of the show when it was funny, or I miss it when Creepy and Decker did we actually have those now. People like when Decker and I did crossovers back in the first couple of years of when we first started out, there was like nothing but people who hated those. And nowadays, people are like, why don't you do any more crossovers with Creepy? I want to see more of Creepy. And then like when I show up, instead of like the entire comment section being nothing but people begging for my death, it's like, oh good, Creepy's here. Meh. There's just, instead of this vitriol, there's just sort of this disinterested sort of, I'm disappointed. Creepy is here. Oh well. I'll watch it. It'll give me something to hate.
Okay. Let's mix it up a bit. How about at this point on, I'll be doing the crossover. Let's see how people feel about it. The last one that I did was with Monkey Bone, and that was like 6 years ago. So
yes, I know. So long.
I know that was so long ago. Yes. Let's see how. That would be kind of interesting. About let's switch things around, and they'll be like, "Man, remember when Decker and Creepy used to collaborate? Those were good days." All right, so
not subjected to that.
5 minutes left on the poll.
All right, so I got the next article ready, and so you guys remember the creator of Game of Thrones, right? The themes are for 8th graders. Game of Thrones creators. So yeah, they're thinking about doing a brand new movie for Warner Brothers. And think about that quote for a second. Themes are for 8th grade book reports. So what is going to be their next project? Well, Lovecraft, an H.P. Lovecraft movie.
Can I have this one?
Yes, it's yours. It is all yours, Creepy.
Okay.
I know. I'm getting it.
Yeah, I do appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Yes. Following their exit from the Star Wars universe, Game of Thrones co-creators David Benioff. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and D.B. Weiss have found their replacement pick, signing on to produce an untitled thriller based on the graphic novel Lovecraft for Warner Brothers. It is unknown if they will also direct the project, but they've already sent Phil Hay and Matt Freddy to pen the script with The Invitation and Destroyer director Karen Kusama executive producing. The Lovecraft graphic novel chronicles the life of H.P. Lovecraft, whose books include The Call of Cthulhu, The Rats on the Walls, and At the Mountains of Madness, The Shadow over Innsmouth, and The Shadow Out of Time, most of which were horribly racist, and spawned the idea of Lovecraftian horror. While plot details for the movie adaptation are currently unknown, sources say Benioff and Weiss's take will tackle the idea of Lovecraft's otherworldly creatures being real, which, if I understand correctly, is what the graphic novel is about. So, you don't know what the movie will be about, but you know it's about this graphic novel, and you know what the graphic novel is about.
Yeah. I want to answer this question really quickly from Nicole789 about she didn't get through the monkey bone, too much going on with little explanation. I guess the reason why is because there were some videos that were collaborating with Decker and Creepy, where Decker would be doing some of his videos, which were Gamera films, and then Creepy would be doing his share of movies as well. But unfortunately, they were removed when Creepy lost his original channel. So yeah, that's the reason why it's kind of disjointed if you're looking only at Decker's videos and not understand what's going on. So anyway, so yeah,
interest in adapting. I can talk. Interest in adapting Lovecraft's stories has swirled around Hollywood for years, most recently with Universal and Guillermo del Toro trying to adapt At the Mountains of Madness. That project was shelved due to budgeting, but there was still plenty of interest in adapting Lovecraft's tales, with the final season of Game of Thrones airing in May and eventually taking home the Best Drama Emmy. Benioff and Weiss went on to sign a massive first-look deal with Netflix over the summer. After they signed that deal with the streaming service, the duo exited from their previously planned Star Wars trilogy, as balancing both would have been difficult to manage.
That's what the glitchy text reminds me of. Death Stranding.
I would just prepare to comment out in someone's basically just said, what's wrong with He-Man being gay? Nothing at all. And let me just make that perfectly clear. If that's basically just saying that perceptions change over time. And sorry if that was came out the wrong way.
Nah, forgiven. Is that all of the article?
I guess.
Okay.
Oh, there's everything going. Yeah.
I mean, in regards to movies coming off graphic novels, I mean, it's. I watch Watchmen, and I got to be honest with you, I prefer the graphic novel to the movie, and it feels like that. Every time we see a movie come out and it's adapted from a graphic novel, it just lacks the depth at all. And I get you have to squeeze a movie in with within 2 hours or so, or something like that. But I just feel like if you want to do something that is going to basically try and tie in with the graphic novel, you should at least try and capture some of the epicness. And if you have to go on for long periods of time, then just do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just instead of having a lackluster which makes you feel like, oh, I feel like picking up the book rather than picking up the DVD.
It's like this is sort of like what was it? League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
On Twitch, Demon Orc says He-Man in the original series is basically the one window's blocking that. Basically, the metaphor for in and out of the closet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, like I said before, perceptions change over time. At one point, when we were younger, these things, we would have perceived it in a completely different way. Nowadays, everyone has their own different perception of He-Man now. So, yeah. I think Patricia's come back.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Okay,
I'm sorry. I forgot to unmute my microphone. Anyway, so I'm actually curious about how Kevin.
You cut out.
And,
Kevin Smith's He-Man. I want to see how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's continue, shall we? So, let's go over to the next title card. That is next thing on the title card. That's it. Okay. So Sylvester Stallone was interviewed recently in regards to Rambo, and he was asked, "Is Rambo an action movie?" And Sylvester Stallone said, "No, it's not an action movie." And you're probably wondering why.
I can kind of figure. I haven't seen the latest Rambo, but I saw Rambo 4.
Yeah. So let's have,
technically there's gunfire and explosions, but Rambo 2 and 3 were fun.
Yeah.
I can see why he said no. I mean, yeah, go on. So tell me why he said no.
Yeah. So Decker, is your turn. So Stallone says Rambo is not an action movie. So
Nothing has stopped Sylvester Stallone from getting back into action. He still plays Rocky in the Creed movies. He released another Rambo movie this year. He's working on Expendables 4. He certainly seems like a man of action. So it's surprising to hear him say that not only is his Rambo franchise not comprised of action movies, but he doesn't even like the genre.
Oh, shocking.
Okay, now that was fighting words, Rambo.
Yeah. And for the question, Doc, yes, he is talking about Last Blood specifically. So continue, Decker.
Stallone says just that in the bonus features in the Rambo Last Blood Blu-ray. The movie is now available on DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, UHD, and digital. Also check the quote on the back of the box. It's very reputable. Here are some of the bombs Stallone drops, and that's not even counting the explosions Rambo sets off. Ha ha! We're witty. Why Stallone hates the term action films. Sounds a little odd for the star of Cobra, Cliffhanger, Demolition Man, Escape. You are padding the fuck out of this. What the hell did he say? Okay. So hates the term action films. Okay.
His quote is
okay,
right
here's
here.
the quote. Yay, we found the quote.
Yay!
Get to the point.
I detest the term action. Oh god, creepy. We got to tell Patricia about that one article that had literally one thing to say and was just repeating it and over and over again.
This is the problem with clickbait articles. Like, I understand why they do them, but at the end of the day, you just end up clicking on an article, just end up being frustrated, and you'll never go back again. So,
Yeah.
it's self-defeating, really. You're constantly trying to create these articles, just to get eyeballs. Because eventually those eyeballs aren't going to stay. They're going to go away because they realize you're full of shit.
It's like, before we were even done with the article, I was ready to stop reading it and go away from that site and never come back because I was just like, this is the same line. They said like two lines up. It's just worded slightly different.
So here Stallone says, I detest the term action films because Rambo is not an action movie, Stallone said. I admit maybe the second one was, but the fourth one was a drama. And this one was a full-on drama that leads into this kind of Shakespearean finale. Okay, Stallone, calm the fuck down. It's still a Rambo movie.
Great.
It's just, you made a movie about killing a bunch of Mexicans.
It just kind of shows why Sylvester Stallone shouldn't really direct his own films because and why he should probably just stick to being an actor because he lacks that vision of what he's trying to create. And so you saw it in the Expendables sequels, you saw it in you've seen it in this Rambo movie. It's not done very well in the reviews at all, and Sylvester Stallone is a great actor in my opinion. I just don't think he's a very good director. I think he should stop. And I think he should, if he's going to have a creative edge, he should at least have a consultant to throw ideas back off and have things. Just like Brandon Kilgore saying here. Personally, I think one of the things that made original Star Wars so popular is that the editors were willing to speak up against George Lucas. Yes.
Yeah.
Geniuses can be geniuses, but only if they kind of listen to reason. If they lack that reasonable voice in their head that tells them that some ideas are bad ideas, then, they end up just not being, not good.
I mean, hell, I'm trying to make a card game right now. I was bouncing ideas off of Creepy, and he was like, don't do it this way. This is entirely wrong. Are you insane? You will need 5,000 cards if you do this. Oh yeah, that is kind of a problem, isn't it?
Budonk asks, what was the movie where Sylvester was in a tunnel which was on fire? It's called Daylight, by the way. And Motorcycle US asks us for another $2. Better Trap Master, Kevin or Ray?
Kevin or Rambo?
Who's a better Trap Master?
Who's Kevin?
Maybe they meant by Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd have to say Rambo, because I've seen Rambo set traps, and goddamn.
Yeah, I've seen Rambo set traps. And, actually, I kind of want to defend Stallone a little bit here when he says that
Kevin
Rambo's
McAllister from Home Alone.
Kevin McAllister.
Well, to be fair, Rambo would probably have taken the Wet Bandits out a hell of a lot faster.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, instead of, I'm sure that the scene in which when
they'd come up to the doorknob, they'd reach to grab it, but instead of it being set to electrocute them with a little flamethrower on top at the same time, the mat would just rip open. Rambo would come out, grab them, and just stab them through the neck.
Here's the thing about this. I'll defend Stallone a little bit here, and when he says that Rambo's not an action movie, I mean, if you think about it, this is at least First Blood. It was a story about a guy who was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder from being in the Vietnam War. He was always built to be this, killing action machine, and he was trying to kind of maybe rebel against that a little bit. He was a drifter who was going from town to town, trying to link up with his buddies again. Obviously, his last buddy, you see in the first, act of the movie, you see that his last attempt to try and, link up with somebody fails, and now he's all on his own. So in a way, it's kind of, it's a bit more psychological, Rambo, in a way, than, it's not just, your dumb action movie. There is, when you really think about it, that, Rambo was, a guy who was lost in the world. He was someone who thought that after the war he was going to go, buy an expensive car and live the good life after that. But his psychological trauma that he suffered when he was dealing with all the stuff in Vietnam, that traumatized him to the point where he was basically living this. He was just a shell of himself, and all he knew was to do was basically just to survive. So it was, when you really think in depth, Rambo is more than just an action.
Yeah.
So,
all right. I'll let you continue, Decker.
All right. Stallone has a point about Rambo. First Blood was a tragic story of a Vietnam veteran coming home to a hostile America. It was still action-packed with Rambo's escape and one-man battle against the sheriff's department. Stallone should include Rambo 3 as definitely a bombastic action movie along with 2. It was the 80s, after all. And I'll have to agree there. 3 was even more over the top.
Mm-hmm.
It's First Blood to Rambo First Blood Part 2 to Rambo 3 is kind of like Saints Row to Saints Row 2 to Saints Row 3.
Sure.
I'm just still amazed that there's an animated TV series for Rambo.
There is, yeah.
There is.
I mean, it's like what I said. I forget who said it. I think it was either you, Creepy, or maybe it was Rowdy. No. It was Cassine Gaines. I remember. Yeah, because it was the Back to the Future podcast where he was talking about. Wasn't it amazing that there was just so many cartoons from the 80s and 90s that were basically featuring, that were based off of rated R movies?
Yeah.
You don't get that anymore.
And how many little kids saw the rated theater? So when they watched the cartoon show, they had references to go by.
Yeah, true.
Funny thing is, that's why I never liked most of those cartoons. It's like, this is nothing like the movie. Where are the tits? I want tits!
Well, were you watching Toxic Crusaders or something?
They had a freaking movie and a cartoon. Excuse me.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it with the whole debate about Rambo is not an action movie. So yeah, that's good. We're just gonna leave her. So I think now your 5 minutes are up.
I think it's fair to say that not all Rambos are pure action movies, but there's definitely action in all Rambo movies.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Motorcycle US also dropped
clear...
$5 saying, Decker, we talked about just the traps and Kevins would have been fatal multiple times, as multiple doctors have attested. That is true. There have been little examinations of Home Alone, and yes, Kevin would have killed the shit out of them.
I think there's a YouTube video of a doctor saw the traps and were diagnosing it.
Is it Dr. Mike?
I don't remember.
He's like the YouTube doctor. He looks like a model.
I was going to say, the only thing I've seen in regards to Home Alone has been Legal Eagle, when he basically said how many laws were broken in the movie.
Not by the bandits, probably. Well, a few from them, of course, but...
Sure.
Well, I mean, Macaulay Culkin's mom in the movie is basically going to get arrested for child neglect, basically. So that could be rounded down to... and also, they were talking about rounding down to misdemeanors and things like that, which I don't know if it'll be realistic.
Sure.
But yes, the Twitter poll... Oh, this is a much, much closer Twitter poll for where Tremors 8 should be set. Nothing scored higher than 30% out of 54 votes.
Nothing.
Okay, Chad's asking, 8, what happened to 7? 7's Hawaii.
7's Hawaii.
Yes.
So, going from the lowest to the highest, this is the second Live and Wired poll. Where should Tremors 8 be set? Only 20.4% voted for In the Medieval Era.
Ooh.
24.1% said that it should take place in a major city, New York or LA, no others exist.
Sure.
And we have a tie for number 1. Both in the future and everywhere.
I mean, it's broad, so sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Those both came in at 27.8% of the vote. That was a close damn poll.
That was, yeah.
Very close.
Kevin Bildane says, this guy knows Stallone wrote Rocky, right? Yeah, he wrote it, but I don't think he directed it.
Well, I mean, he directed 2, 3, and 4 and Rocky Balboa, but 1, 5, and was done by John Alvinson, and Creed was
Creed and Creed 2 now, right?
Yeah, I know Creed was done by I forget his name, the tip of my tongue. But yeah, Ryan Coogler. Yeah, Ryan Coogler. He did Creed, and I don't know who did Creed 2. So yeah,
John Washburn says Stallone was in a porno, and yeah, there's a Kitty and the something at the Kitty and the Party at Studs, Party at Kitty and Studs or something.
Party at Kitty and Studs.
And the original version of that movie, Stallone actually was just like a minor background actor.
Yeah.
After Rocky, they re-edited what they had of him to re-release the movie, pretending like he's the star.
Yeah, I mean, like in regards to porn, I mean, like, you know, it's so mainstream now. Like, you know, would anyone really care if a celebrity appeared in a porn movie now? Like, would anyone really care?
I just know that it would end up being Cher, and I'd be like, oh, not again.
I have to hang up for just a second. I'll be right back. So
right.
Sure.
Sorry about that.
All right, sure.
Okay.
All right, so now it's all right, now it's Aaron's turn, and let's see what I got for you. Oh, yes, I think that this will be good because this was just revealed a few days ago. So
you're frozen there, Patricia.
Not again. I hate when that happens. There we go.
I'm trying to wait for her to come back.
I know. So yes, a few days ago, QB, which is the upcoming streaming service by Jeffrey Katzenberg, has announced that they're to be reviving Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be specifically for adults, which are going to have adult-themed prizes, and no announcements about if they're going to bring back... Yeah.
Now, when you say adults...
No, we're not talking about like those. We're not talking about like we're going to go to space camp or something like that. Which I actually, it's actually funny. Aaron and I, we went over to the Rocky Museum over at Huntsville, and that is that is where space camp is, like the real space camp. You know, the prize where every 80s and 90s game show say you're going to space camp. Well, that is actually where space camp is.
Space camp is like regular camp, but space.
Yes, it is indeed. So, yeah, I think that I'm just going to pull up really quickly. Yeah, here it is.
So I'm just remembering the episode of Dexter's Laboratory where Dee Dee goes to space camp, and Dexter goes to farm camp, and he's living with an Amish family.
I remember that one.
He makes a light out of a potato and a lantern.
Oh yeah, and they all think he's evil because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing a black screen there, Patricia.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
Let me just pull it up again. How about now?
No.
No? I guess I have to get a different link then. Out of all the links...
I don't know if your screen share is working, is the thing.
Yeah, I don't think your screen share is working. I can't see anything.
Oh. Let me just... Hold on.
Well, while I wait, me as well.
While she's sorting that out, if you guys are interested, the Aaron Meta show is coming back in January, so we are going to be covering news, politics, and all that good stuff. And so if you're interested...
how about now?
Oh, yes, there it goes.
Oh, yeah, I can see it now.
All right, then, there we go. I had to look for another... Really, that...
So if you guys are interested in that, if you go over to facebook.com/Aaron Meta Show, that's ARUNMEHTASHOW. And also if you're checking out on Twitter, it's Aaron Meta Show as well. And also aaronmeta.tumblr.com. And so, yeah, you'll hear more announcements of when the show's coming back in January.
See, I don't know why. I just suddenly feel the most ashamed I ever have in my life for not really knowing much about sports.
Well,
All right.
there's plenty to learn, so
That's
So
true.
still-
Fair enough.
Okay, I'll try my best to read this, but
I think we need some zooming there, Patricia.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's basically it basically looks like an NES.
It looks like it's in Braille.
You know what it looks like? It looks like Paperboy, like when he when they start saying that he won the obstacle course and things like that. So I
Yeah.
think what the LA Times would probably think of Paperboy back in the day, but yeah, you have to
Yeah.
zoom it in, Patricia. I can't see it.
I already just. I just did.
I don't see any change.
I don't see any
No.
change. No.
Is it frozen?
Anything? Oh, great. Maybe it's frozen.
Tell you what,
Okay,
Patricia,
send him the link. Send him the link.
Send me the link. I'll open it up and then I'll read it out.
Yeah. Just. I guess. Man, my computer just sucks. There we
Okay.
go.
I think I've got it.
Maybe
now.
after I'm done with this one, I'll send it to you. I don't know.
Okay.
It is an ancient machine. The stuff that Charlie got me to build a computer out of is just so nice and so modern. Whereas
Yeah. Well, it's a fun fact. My computer.
you cut out there.
Yeah, it's got that. Anyway, while she's fixing that, let me read out this article. So, the legend of the red jaguars, orange iguanas, and blue barracudas lives on. Legend of the Hidden Temple, Nickelodeon's Indiana Jones-inspired game show of the 1990s.
Hey, Aaron. You have to click on the screen share.
Well, I mean, it's not necessary, but okay.
Was it really? Yeah, I'll just read it out. It's fine.
Sure. Okay.
It's being revived by Jeffrey Katzenberg's built for millennial streaming service.
See if I can bring it up on my side.
Freebie,
Show
giving
everyone.
anyone who failed to assemble the statue of the Shrine of the Silver Monkey another shot at show glory. The new series, however, will no longer be awkward kids competitions. The reboot is getting a Survivor-like makeover and will be aimed at adults and superfans who will compete in the trivia show and Temple games. Quibi announced Monday it's going to be set in a real-life jungle rather than the elaborate studio.
Oh god, people could die.
And the scale of challenges and bigger prizes. So basically, we sort of kind of have like a really cheesy version of what they're trying to do here. It's called I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. And so it's basically they're trapped on an island in on the coast of Australia or something like that. It's like a jungle island and things like that, and they can all do stupid shit. So it's a reality show in every single word. But hopefully, Legend of the Hidden Temple will give this thing a run for its money. But I'm not too sure at this stage. I'd have to. I think you would have to see it kind of in full fruition to kind of be more involved about it.
Over on Mixer, the Destroyer 9 just sent Let It Go for 5,000 sparks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. I just sent you a link a few days ago, Aaron.
She got out again. Oh no! But anyway, the Nickelodeon series ran from 1993 to 1999, and each episode featured 6 teams of 2 in colorful T-shirts facing elaborate obstacle courses. The inspired series in 2016, the TV movie, mobile games, and a slew of Halloween costumes over the years. Oblique, the disembodied head. Talking stone head will return, as will the contestants soaking moting crossing competition and the game accumulating temple run, a maze full of treacherous obstacles where young adolescents would flex their physical and mental prowess. In other people in America, they call that New York City.
Sure.
But, the game show will debut April 6th in Katzenberg and Chief Executive Meg Whitman's short-form mobile-only streaming service. The company which plans to launch programming as quick bite videos, has been feverishly adding programming. It recently announced a series with filmmaker Ridley Scott, a show produced by Keeping Up with the Kardashian stars Kris and Kendall Jenner, and projects from singers Justin Timberlake and Jennifer Lopez, and NBA star Steph Curry. It will also reboot MTV's dating game Singled Out and feature only a hip-hop news show and a short-form version of 60 Minutes.
All right, then. So basically...
that's interesting, because I had a different article, but a lot of it was the same.
Yeah. So I also mentioned to Aaron a few days, hey, 90 amazing.
What the hell did you say to him?
No.
It's a new language we're developing on the show. It's not short form English.
All right, I was saying that the Crystal Maze is going to be coming to Nickelodeon. They're doing a remade version of it.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, here's the thing about this. I mean, they're going to remake the Crystal Maze several times, but everyone remembers the good old days of Richard O'Brien and his snarky attitude towards contestants, and I'm not too sure if we're going to get that back.
I'm trying to think. Crystal Maze. Which one is that? I'm just remembering some. It's probably not the same show.
No, basically how it would work is these teams would go into these rooms and they would all be like puzzles and things like that. And if they didn't complete the puzzle in time, they'd be trapped in the room and they would have to give up a crystal to let them out and stuff. But if they succeeded getting in the room and they got the crystal and managed to get out, then obviously they won the crystal.
Yeah.
So,
I just remember something about climbing a mountain.
That's Nickelodeon Guts, Aaron.
What?
I mean, Aaron, Decker.
Guts? What do you mean? That can't be Guts.
Yeah, the aggro crag, where they climb up to the mountain.
Yeah, I remember that.
What's that? No, that's a different thing. A different mountain, something. Why do these kids keep climbing on shit in these shows?
You broke Decker, Patricia.
Hostile Graveyard says this is still on. Yeah, it's only been 2 hours.
Hello, welcome to Live and Wire, where we are on 3 hours talking. Welcome back.
Oh yeah, and in case you're wondering about the Stephen King drinking game later,
I want to give my dedication to this show. That is that right now it's 3 o'clock in the morning here in the UK.
Oh God.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's okay. On a Sunday, for me, I always kind of get up at 10:30 in the morning anyway.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, for the Stephen King drinking game later, I just wanted to point out the running time on this thing is 2 hours and 59 minutes.
Oh, goody. So let's see. I mean, I wonder how that's going to turn out. Drink every 5 minutes, or drink nothing for an hour and then just drink constantly, every 30 seconds.
Well, it's just will I be bringing out the Captain Morgan again, or am I going to have to go a little lower?
This is Langoliers, remember, so I think you're going to have to go lower. Also, I want
that sounds like a dare to do Captain Morgan.
Yeah, no. Do not dare. No. Yeah.
You were, when we did The Shining, you were 1 drink away from me having your limit.
Yeah. Also, I would like to add a caveat. In addition to all the other rules for the Stephen King drinking game, we should take a drink every time Balky's voice cracks like a 12-year-old.
Oh, come on. You see, that's why I was having problems with Captain Morgan last time. I calculated the approximate amount of shots versus the percentage of alcohol I had. And I'm like, all right, I'm fine. And then you're there actually, probably for that, and that. We should just keep drinking. Just keep drinking.
Yeah.
It would be really boring in drinking games because, every time I go on a night out, every time I have something to drink, I always have a, either a water or, soda kind of go along with it. So, yeah. That's just kind of how I roll with night out, really. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go over to our next bit of news. So, this one I'm actually interested in taking a look at. So we have this article called Popular Mechanics 2020 Guide to Sci-Fi Films. And you're going to see that some of them are not even sci-fi films.
Well, yeah, it's Popular Mechanics. What in the heck?
I know,
what?
right?
Patricia!
Popular Mechanics.
I was sure I had heard that wrong when the minute you said that. I was like, why is there?
I get annoyed at Scientific American for veering too far from the subject matter.
No, that's the History Channel that you're always complaining about, Decker.
Motorcycle US gave us $2. Decker, be nice to yourself for once. Go low.
Oh, just because you wish for me to actually survive.
Oh man. But yes, I'm not joking. Popular Mechanics Sci-Fi Film Guide for 2020. So let's take a look to see how that turned out, shall we? So it's my turn to read.
Must we?
No,
Must we?
Yes.
Oh.
All right, so here we go. 2020 is an exciting year for sci-fi. There are no major Avengers blockbusters thanks to Thanos' shenanigans last year, and Star Wars is taking a cinematic hiatus for 5 minutes. Maybe. just maybe, some other films can get a moment in the sun. But that doesn't mean that the next 12 months will be a bereft of big films designed to fill movie theaters. While a couple intriguing ones dot the calendar, we personally can't wait for Bill and Ted Face the Music. Denis Villeneuve's Dune will end 2020 with a bang and hopefully create some Quisash Hatterdack fanboys and fangirls the world over.
What the hell are they doing? Is this a threat?
I don't know. Okay, so here are the sci-fi films coming for 2020. Bit of a warning saying this list will be updated as more films are announced, released, or otherwise updated. So I'm sure we'll come back to it at some. Okay, so the first one is Underwater. So basically, Underwater is the story of this character who is in an underwater facility, and they're discussing about 95% of the ocean is undiscovered, and then something happens, and then there's this creature that is attacking them and stuff like that. It's coming out January 10th, 2020. The preliminary verdict, according to this website, is to skip it. Alien ripoffs are a genre, and Underwater is the latest to take Ridley Scott's sci-fi horror recipe and run with it. We got a buzz cut heroine.
I saw the trailer for that. I saw the trailer for that last time I went to the theater, I think.
Yeah, I saw the trailer too.
It wasn't just inspired by Alien. They were like, hey, let's just take if Alien's a video game, we're going to take the Alien engine and add water effects to it.
Yeah.
We got a new game, fellas.
Yes. All right, so next one, Sonic the Hedgehog, the best sci-fi series.
Science fiction? What?
Okay, now to be fair, I guess.
Just by the way, I'm absolutely dreading this movie. To be honest with you.
Oh, you're not one of the camp that says they fixed the hedgehog. It must be good now.
Absolutely no. In regards to Sonic the Hedgehog, when this first came out, and when we first got air that this was going to be a thing.
I'm wondering if we broke the news here on Live and Wired. I mean, yeah, we were pulling it off of another news site, but it was a hip hop news site. I have no idea what the hell they were doing with it.
Yeah. We were the minute I saw this, keep in mind, this was announced, I think, after Nintendo said they were doing their partnership with Illumination Studios to do the Super Mario movie, and there's a massive hand-holding currently going on between Shigeru Miyamoto and Illumination Studios, and when I saw the deal on the table that they were basically just going to give the trademark over to Paramount and just say, hey, go nuts with it. They immediately just said, look, this is going to suck. And I bet you that the Super Mario movie is going to trounce the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
And it's like Detective Pikachu, one of the things was the Pokemon Company were very involved with deciding what designs were good or not.
Well, not only that, they had they were having a say on quite a lot of things. And this is the thing about Nintendo. They're very, very protective of their properties. And so, because they remember what happened with the Super Mario movie back in the 90s.
Oh, yes.
Not their best moment by any stretch of the imagination. And so, for me, I don't. Here's the thing about this. Fans were, backlashing against people who were still, against the Sonic the Hedgehog movie because they spent millions of dollars, redesigning Sonic, and it's like, who cares if they redesign him? It's still gonna suck.
By the way, that's our next article. By the way, about the studio.
Yeah, the studio.
Oh, yeah,
the people who put in the legwork, who allegedly were there from day one, where the studio heads were there telling them, no, you got to make Sonic look more like a dude in a fursuit.
Yeah, here's the thing about it. It's imagine turning around and saying, oh well, we're sorry the way the room turned out for Tommy Wiseau, so we're gonna digitize him as another actor, and we're basically gonna replace him entirely in the movie. It's still badly written. It still has bad music. The pacing is still off.
I want to see the room starring Sonic the Hedgehog now.
You're turning me apart, Sonic!
Oh, hi, Tails. Oh, hi, Tails.
How is your sex life?
Oh, god damn it, creepy.
Oh no. Okay, let's. Okay, I'm gonna continue. A lot of lying. Okay, the story. Okay, so their preliminary verdict looks promising. The story of the troubled production behind the Sonic film, as well known as the game franchise, is trying to bring to the big screen. after the release of the first trailer in spring
That's
2019.
a good question. When's the last time we got a decent Sonic game?
Sonic Mania.
Yeah, but Sonic Team didn't make that one.
Sonic Mania.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, they made the right decision by saying, "Oh, hey, here's these fans. You know, they did a really great job with all these bits and pieces. Let's put them all together and let's make a great game out of it."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the thing that Valve Studios did when they did Black Mesa, like, you know, they saw these fans who were really passionate about making this, you know, doing this, and then Crowbar Collective came into the light, and now they're probably betaing Zen. You know, like, it's these decisions are great. It's shitty decisions like Nintendo, who like shut down fan projects, not realizing, oh, hey, maybe if we bring these guys on board and we polish this up, this could be a really.
I'm still not angry at the fact that they got rid of Doctor another Metroid 2 remake.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like the fact that they've got, you know, they decide to just shut these things down and not think, oh, hey, maybe some people would actually like this and maybe we'll actually pay money for it. You know, like, come on, guys, use your brains.
Right. All right. So basically saying Paramount decided to heed the mounting criticism and redesign Sonic throughout the entire movie. So they'll see what next. Okay, the next one is Bloodshot with Vin Diesel. Based on the Valiant comic book character, Bloodshot is a super soldier powered by nanotechnology. Vin Diesel's been known for elevating otherwise forgettable films, such as Pitch Black, saving them from cinematic obscurity. While this looks like another superhero of the month action flick, maybe Diesel can help save.
Does having nanotechnology count as science fiction? I mean, technically, it fits, but the genre isn't so much, I don't think, about exploring the ramifications of that as it is about, hey, here's a guy who can punch things really hard.
It's popular mechanics. They know they're science fiction.
God damn it.
Usually Vin Diesel, like, I mean, the only two things I remember seeing him in is probably Fast and Furious and Chronicles of Riddick. I mean, like, I've not really seen Vin Diesel, I think, in anything else.
I love how the new Fast and Furious video game has graphics that are actually worse than the 2004 Chronicles of Riddick video game.
Beautiful. 10 out of 10.
Well,
right, next one.
The budgeting. If you remember, you know the recent WWE video game, like,
oh god,
yeah, I know exactly.
It's like the previous one on Switch was a shit show, and then they were like, "Hey, that got so much attention. Let's just do that on every
exactly."
system.
And like, the worst thing about it is that WWE is still going to be using them to make video games, but they're going to give them even less money to make it.
All right, so the next one, this is one that technically you, but I gave it. So, The Invisible Man, which is real to a woman. So
yeah, it's funny because we have The Invisible Man, and we also have another movie that's being made called The Invisible Woman, and they both star women.
Yes,
but they're supposed to be very different kinds of movies.
Yeah, and both of them featuring a woman named Elizabeth. We have Bank. And then we have Elizabeth Moss. Or no, wait. Is Elizabeth Banks directing this? I don't remember, but they have Elizabeth.
So anyway, the non-binary people not going to get their own invisible person? Like, you know, like, yeah.
That's just...
Maybe.
Well, it's not very forward-thinking, is what I'm saying.
We'll see. All right. Any adaptation of an H.G. Wells classic is our attention, and man is
Oh god, Lone Dragon saying Invisible Man, Chevy Chase, and like, oh, that was such a good one. the special effects in that were really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I think I only saw like bits and pieces of the movie once, but it still left an impression.
Yeah. Let's see. Starring Elizabeth Moss, trailer takes Wells' work update like a speaking to today's Me Too movement. If the film actually achieves the comparison is hard to say, but we'll be watching to find out. Next one, which is actually one we're going to be talking about later on in the show, A Quiet Place Part 2, which is...
otherwise known as No, You Shut Up!
Yes. So, the sleeper hit of...
Yeah, Lone Dragon saying the gum part. I'm sorry, but it's left such an impact. I think that's how the movie opened up, where it's just an empty chair and Chevy Chase's voiceover, and he's telling you he's invisible, and he's like, "Oh, you want me to prove it?" And he picks up a little pencil, and then he's like, "Nah, that could probably just be done with strings. Hold on." And he picks up a piece of gum, and then unwraps it, and then chews it up, and then spits it across the room. And it's like, okay.
I don't know why, but every time someone keeps telling me about Chevy Chase, I keep thinking about Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh no.
Oh god. And then the conspiracy about the pizza.
Like we need that in
the entire internet must be questioning Chuck E. Cheese about their pizza. Do they just scoop up the old pizza and make new pizzas out of it?
Oh, it's Pizzagate 2.0.
God damn. Oh god.
The pizza conspiracy.
Oh.
Not another one.
Or do we go the spy genre, the pizza identity?
So, Quiet Place 2, yes.
Okay, so John Krasinski's A Quiet Place was an undeniable sleeper hit of 2018, equipped with a premise and solid storytelling. Is this sci-fi?
No, not in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Like,
so
I don't know how this could possibly be considered science fiction.
I thought this is a horror movie.
Yes.
When did it? I mean, sure, you might make an argument about aliens, so that's sci-fi. Sure, that's fine. I guess you could put it that way.
I mean, aliens come down in signs, but that's not because it's science fiction. They're horror aliens.
I don't know. This is a little bit hard. Okay, next one, The New Mutant. Another superhero movie. So in the sci-fi genre. Okay. I mean, that's to be fair. Not that we need another superhero movie or anything, but The New Mutants is at least looking like a refreshing take on the genre, mostly taking place inside an insane asylum. In the world of comic films, the X-Men have been slightly more competent in making something worth watching, especially when it comes to DC films. Here's hoping The Mutants is more Logan than Dark Phoenix. Ouch.
I mean, isn't this one of the movies that Disney's just trying to churn out, just to not like without like less fanfare and things like that?
I mean, remember when they did the buyout of to Disney, they were still working on this on Fox, and then they just decided to just dump it in because it's like, hey, we own this, we have no other choice but to release it. It's kind of like when they bought Lucasfilms, and Lucas already was doing Strange Magic, and Disney was, yeah, we think this is gonna stuck, let's just put it under Touchstone, and lo and behold, what happened there. Same thing with Spies in Disguise, where they own Blue Sky now, and they have to release the movie at some point, although they did give them.
Though, like, I mean, I'm sure the fact that Will Smith is involved in this, I think that's what's keeping it afloat. I think if this was just going to be like a movie where there was basically just your generic voice actors in it, I think it probably would have died to death. But the fact that Will Smith is involved in this project, and given the fact that they just come off Aladdin, I think that's what basically is controlling the politics in Disney at the minute. The fact that he's basically keeping the ship.
Will Smith, I will always remember him as my favorite YouTuber.
You know what? I sometimes debate now whether what about Will Smith's acting career. Compared to to me, Will Smith has always been the guy who sang "Boom, Shake the Room" and was basically the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And but in regards to his movie career, okay, yeah, he did Men in Black, and yeah, he did Hancock and a few other things like that. But I sometimes look at that and think, I mean, he sort of kind of he's kind of going through like an Eddie Murphy run. Bit really, like it's like his his movies are making money, but in a couple of years down the line we'll be looking at Will Smith and thinking he wasn't really that great of it. He wasn't that memorable of an actor in a way. The fact that Aladdin, which is kind of like a weaker version of the original film, in my opinion, and the fact that that's his highest grossing movie, it's kind of like
Yeah, I'm thinking like a new generation of film goers looking at him. Maybe his charisma is not going to work on them. Will his acting be able to hold up? Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah.
Well, I'm talking like, 20 years down the line, we'll even remember what he did,
let's see. We have a 2,500 CLP from Bicentenario Gabriel, who says, Pat, thanks to you, I knew about Kidding. When it's season 2? Kidding. I'm not sure what you're referring to by Kidding.
I'm hoping that autocorrect fucked that up because I have no idea what he's saying.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not understanding about like Kidding. So you have to be.
What the heck is CLP? I mean, what currency?
I think it's probably. I I'm not sure. I'll look it up later. Anyway, so next
Google
one,
Chile, maybe?
yeah, maybe Chilean. Yeah, I think it's Chilean. Let's see. Next one is Monster Problems. Don't know much about this one other than Monster.
But
Really? That's
thank
it?
you very much for the donation nonetheless. Hopefully we can figure out what you're asking.
Yes, thank you very much. We always do our donations.
Oh, Brandon Kilgore's just subscribed to my channel. I mean, like, you're not going to really see much there. If you really want to catch out what I'm doing, go on twitter.com/Aaron Meta Show. Go like me on Facebook on facebook.com/Aaron Meta Show, and follow me on the podcast feeds. YouTube now.
Okay. I looked up Monster Problem, and it says so right here on on the website, saying that it's a young man learns how to a monster apocalypse with the help of an expert hunter. Adventure/comedy. What does this have to do with sci-fi?
I guess it's the future?
Whatever. Next one, Fast and Furious 9. Yes. A genius.
Someone at Popular Mechanics is looking like, no car can drive like that. This is some future technology stuff right here.
Yes, it'll go down in history alongside with Star Trek as the definitive sci-fi masterpiece.
They gotta have an antimatter turbo in there.
Also,
imagine if they did like an episode of Star Trek where they kind of they were beamed into the Fast and Furious universe,
using the holodeck. Yes,
they got trapped in there because that holodeck, for some reason, just occasionally fucks up really bad. How was this okayed? I know it's very impressive technology.
I don't think
the fact that Star Trek has crossed over with X-Men, as far as I'm concerned, they can go anywhere they want. So
yeah.
But I'm thinking if I put my PSVR on, I never really have to worry about, okay, I'm done with the game. Oh crap, the headset won't come off. I'm trapped. This only happens every 5% of the time.
But yeah, there's been a Fast and Furious movie every 2 years almost, because they're on 9 right now, and it's been 20 years, or it will be.
Yeah.
The first Fast and Furious movie. So
this is the thing, if people keep watching them, they're going to keep making them, and it's again like I said with our Star Wars just before. The more people keep watching them, the more they're going to keep making them.
And not to mention that they are going to have that.
You cut out, Patricia. Discord just hates you.
I know. I know Discord hates me. Don't forget about the Fast and Furious animated series.
But does the 9 count the side movies, or are those not counted? Like Tokyo Drift?
I don't know anything anymore.
Yeah.
The Fast and Furious is a huge universe now. It's kind of
exactly. They're just as complex.
Oh yeah, Vin Diesel was at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
That's when they showed off the new Fast and Furious game. It's like, how the hell does it look this bad? How is it doesn't come to Switch? What? It's like the one system where it almost made sense to arrive. It's not going to. It's not. This is Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Are you serious?
Yeah. Okay, I'm just reading this off. From Bicentennial. Oh, that's right. Now I remember the TV series with Jim Carrey called Kidding. Now I remember. Yes, where he was the kids show host, and he was living. He was kind of like Mr. Rogers in a way, where he was absolutely happy with everything, but his family is incredibly miserable. I remember I talked about this last year on Live and Wired. I remember now.
Oh, I did.
Yes.
Could you imagine Jim Carrey taking over from Mr. Rogers, doing Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? It's
that'd be kind of weird. But yeah, I remember.
Real. That would be very surreal.
Yeah, the very first episode was just so good. Jim Carrey's performance is this really giddy kids show host, and he's trying to keep his family happy. His family is going through this depressing thing. His sister's miserable, and his son is miserable. Everybody's miserable, but he's just this optimistic guy who's trying to smile and trying to keep the peace and the positivity at hand. And yeah, I talked about that last year. I completely forgot about that. So wow, Gabriel, you have a better memory.
David Prosser is asking, Decker, have you ever played Warhammer? Well, when I was like 17, I spent like $350 on it, so no, I never finished my army.
So my Warhammer experience is that I had a load of Space Marines, and one thing that was really cool that my nana had this army green paint and gloss paint that she used to paint she used to do painting herself, and so we painted them together. And so when he's taken to school, I used to get them out, and they thought it was really cool because they're these proper army colors and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I really like the intricacy of them. I mean, you just do a little bit of modification on this joint and that joint and make all unique looking figures.
Yeah, and mine were pretty. Mine didn't correspond with any of the Warhammer colors at all. Basically, they were just kind of like these, army colored, kind of like, yeah, green goddess kind of like colors. So,
Yeah.
Also, I had like a load of Gorkamorkas, but it was at a time when I was kind of falling out of it, so I kind of like had them, but I never really completed them. So,
Yeah. All right, let's go over to our next movie, which obviously Fast and Furious. Let's just continue. Next one is Artemis Fowl, which it's not a science fiction. Is
there anything on this list that's science fiction?
I mean, I know that there are some science fiction elements in Artemis in the books, but it's mostly a fantasy.
I'll be back in a minute, guys. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. All right, next one, $6 billion man. Okay, now that was a little bit better. Okay, so adjusted for inflation, the $6 billion man is one of the most snake-bit films in Hollywood history. The film has languished in development hell ever since Kevin Smith took a stab at the screen in 1990. Now Travis Knight is finally going to deliver the film to the big screens. With only one directing credit under his name, the surprisingly successful Transformers spin-off Bumblebee. Knight will likely have to work some similar magic in order to get this film to register at the box. Okay, so yeah, $6 billion man. Okay, I can see that as sci-fi.
We have the technology.
Yeah,
we can rebuild him. But goddamn, is it going to be expensive?
That's right. Yeah.
It would be cheaper to make a shitty remake than rebuild this man. So we're gonna do that to Hollywood.
All right, next one, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Okay, there we go. A bit of science fiction and horror and comedy. So there we go. Now we're getting.
That's a mix. That's a mix. That's acceptable.
Sure. But this one wants to skip the movie, huh? Fool me twice, shame on me. Ghostbusters Afterlife likely wants to right this ship after 2016's disastrous Ghostbusters reboot. This time the film will be a direct sequel to Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 rather than some pseudo-sequel like Paul Feig's misguided attempt. It could be very good, but I won't hold my... I mean,
so
sure.
Is it a direct sequel that ignores the Ghostbusters game that was also a direct sequel?
I don't even know. Who knows? And
also,
finally, last
idiot go-kart says penis. I know I've been ignoring a lot of the chat, but I just wanted to fix that real quick. Okay.
Yes. Thank you for your insightful comment.
Thanks.
And finally, last but not least, is the spy thriller, science fiction. I don't know, but yes, the spy thriller called Tenet, and this is the newest Christopher Nolan film.
Oh god, Lone Dragon's like Peter Griffin. We can rebuild him. We have the technology, but I don't want to spend a lot of money. That just reminds me of the In Living Color sketch, The Head Detective. Does anyone else remember that show?
Yeah, I remember.
The first episode of The Head Detective they had the origin story. And he pretty much got just absolutely destroyed, and the doctors were there. And it was a $6 million man thing. It's like, we have the technology. We can fix it. We could be an ultimate police officer. It's going to cost $6 million. It's going to cost what? Yep. Can you do a little less? It's like, well, we'll have to cut a lot out. We can bring it down to like 600,000. No. I got $20 and a stick of gum. Okay, we can work with that. And here he comes, and he's just 2 hands, 2 feet, and a head.
Perfect. All right. Bicentennial Gabriel was asking when season 2 of February 9th, 2020. So in about 2 months.
Oh, sorry, just my alert box went off. Got a new follower.
Okay. Oh, wonderful.
Welcome, Ghostface Dude.
Thank you, Ghostface Dude. All right, so the next one is Infinite. Based on D. Eric Kranz's The Reincarnation Papers, Infinite deals with a secret society called the Cognomina, a group of people who can perfectly recall their past lives. That could be somewhat sci-fi, sure. I mean, I don't know if it does count as sci-fi. I have to look more into it, but okay. And Bill and Ted Face the Music. Okay, fair enough. I mean, do travel time. That's fair. I guess you could call it a sci-fi movie, but it's more of a comedy. But next one.
By the way, anyone kind of amazed that Bill and Ted is coming back now? Like, I mean, it's been years since the last movie. And
Yeah, exactly.
Bogus Journey didn't exactly go over well, but I don't know, it wasn't as bad as people make it out to be.
Fair
I mean,
enough.
it's charmingly bad, in my opinion.
I actually didn't hate Bogus Journey at all. I mean, if you think about it, the Bill and Ted movies are not like genius works of cinema in the first place. So, saying that Bogus Journey is terrible and that Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is perfect is...
it'd be kind of unfair to say that they didn't have an impact to the era, like, where it spawned a TV series of crying out loud. So, like,
That is true, yeah.
Yeah, it did leave an impact on people.
All right, let's go to the next one.
This 7 out of 13, you goddamn right.
Monster Hunter is our next sci-fi movie, even though it's fantasy because it's based off of a Capcom video game where people go around and kill dragons.
Yeah, where's the science fiction at all? It's like medieval fantasy.
Is it just me, or are these some of these titles really generic? Like, Monster Problems, Monster Hunter. I mean, it kind of makes me feel like, you remember when like there used to be like a redundant sequel like names for like Annihilation and Redemption and Extinction or Evolution or something like that.
Yeah.
I kind of crave for those days back now.
Yes, and you're.
You cut out there, Patricia.
Yeah, you got it again.
Damn it. Okay, he's Matanui's asking, why does it look like Gears of War and Resident Evil? Well, the reason why is because it was done by Paul Anderson, the guy who did the Resident Evil. He's doing Monster Hunter now.
Oh yeah, that's her. That's his wife right there. Again.
Yep. Mila Jovovich, yeah.
Why? Stop! Also, we got a $2 super chat.
The weapon she's wielding looks really, really impractical.
Oh, yeah. But that's Monster Hunter right there.
Yeah.
He actually looks like he belongs. But
unless he like plans to like swing that thing around to get really dizzy, I really don't know how he's gonna basically weld that thing the way.
Oh, in the games, it's also extremely difficult to wield the damn things.
I know.
But Motorcycle US dropped $2, saying, by the way, $6 Million Man would be considered government property. And I'm thinking that's a hell of a repossession.
Here's the thing about this. Like, I'm thinking I'm going to curse, saying this, but I'm really surprised. Like all these movies that are coming out, and yet, Half-Life has never been adapted into a movie yet. I know there's probably not much to adapt because obviously it's like it's a silent protagonist going around a production facility, and like so it can really be done in like short movies as we've seen on YouTube. But
I mean, to be fair, we had the Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, how would you go about doing Gordon Freeman in a movie role? Would you keep him a silent protagonist and let his facial expressions, emote what he's feeling? Or would you do what Hollywood would obviously do and try and get some hot young actor to just do that, and then, his suit's covering his whole body, so we gotta get him out of that so that he's looking sexy for the cameras.
Enough. I mean, like maybe the stories amongst the other characters would probably be more intriguing. The fact that we never really heard the story about like how Dr. Kleiner and how all the other scientists kind of like got out of the facility, or basically what really happened to them. I want to hear what happened. We probably like follow around Barney Calhoun and probably like follow around all the other characters in the story. I think they're probably not intriguing. And then just Gordon Freeman just happens to kind of like be there,
Right.
He's the hero. He's kind of like the silent hero who just kind of like appears in scenes, kind of like just to save the day. So like, I mean, the character, the way I would direct Half-Life the movie would be that the characters around him would basically tell the story, and then Gordon Freeman would basically just kind of like do the action.
That could work because we were talking about like Doom movies on a previous Live and Wired, And I was thinking that the probably the best way to go about a Doom movie would be treat it sort of like a Godzilla movie, but the force of nature isn't Godzilla, it's Doom Guy.
Yeah, in a way, we treat it kind of the same way you treat, Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th. Like, the entire time, the focus isn't exclusively on him. It's usually on the characters he's about to kill.
Yeah.
It's their stories that need to be told, and that's to me is a better storytelling device than using the main character.
Right, exactly. All right, so the next movie is Bios, which is technically a sci-fi movie because of Hanks being the last man on Earth, which, fair enough. Next is Eternals, which is another superhero movie, but it does have a sci-fi feel to it. Look, it's even insane. So, okay.
Is it just me or is the super? I mean, I know this has probably been mentioned dozens of times, but are we starting to get to the point now where we're just sick and tired of superhero movies now?
I think it's we're experiencing the superhero burnouts. We're going to have to get a new genre of movie to rule the box office pretty soon.
Motorcycle US asks you, Aaron, what is your favorite Friday the 13th?
I would probably say I'm a big fan. I'm still a big fan of the first one, to be honest with you. The fact that it's the one where you don't suspect that this entire time, like, it's his mom that's basically been doing all these murders. You think that it's him, and then all of a sudden, you get this surprise, and it's kind of like, oh my god, and then this woman gets decapitated.
Decker, how did you feel about the first Friday the 13th film again? Would you?
I can't remember what I said in my review. I just know that I thought that the whole twist of, you bet you didn't guess it was Mrs. Voorhees. I'm like, well, yeah, she didn't arrive until practically the climactic battle at the end.
Right. Okay, next one is Godzilla Kong. Would that be considered sci-fi?
But I did like Friday the 13th a hell of a lot better than I liked Halloween.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so yes, Godzilla versus Kong, sci-fi.
I would consider Godzilla sort of sci-fi. His origins are sci-fi, so by virtue of that, Godzilla kind of remains sci-fi. But generally, a Godzilla film is, a kaiju film, which is a disaster film, a disaster versus a disaster.
Sure. All right, next one is Dune, which, fair enough, it is technically.
Dune.
Yes. Dune. Next one is the Tomorrow War. Even though it's more, even though technically there is some sci-fi, but it's more like a war film. So And Doc Snake gave us $3.99 comment, so thank you, Doc Snake.
Thank you very much.
And everything else, like there's Green Knight, Chaos Walking, After Yang, all these other things. So it's like, Popular Mechanics giving us the list on sci-fi movie.
No more authoritative source on science fiction.
Some of these articles that they write, I'm pretty sure that the publisher, the editor, is probably just turning around to them and saying, "Look, put this in there, put this in here, put that in there, because we need the clicks." And so I think that's the reason why. It's kind of the same reason why. Remember me and Patricia, we've done really crazy top 10s before, and we're pretty sure that they were basically just done for clicks and not done for any kind of merit.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay, let's cover a few more articles to YouTubers. Yay, our favorite.
And we'd have one more thing in the title card that hasn't been touched on.
Oh, okay. Let me just double check to see what that is. Oh, yes. Now I remember. Okay, I guess. Do you want to do that, Decker, or should I get creepy?
Creepy. How do you feel about stalking a woman through the streets with intent to murder her with a minigun?
I'm against this.
Okay,
I guess I'll take it then.
Okay, then. So yeah. Okay, so now you and Power Rangers review not too long ago, and I'm sure some of you guys even 2017 reboot that happened, which most people didn't really like, and it didn't do very well in the box office. So what do they do? Reboot. Of course they do. So let's talk about the Power Rangers reboot of a reboot, because...
Wait, that's what we're talking about? I was thinking that wasn't in the title card.
Well, don't worry. I remember, Decker. It's Creepy's turn.
Oh, okay.
So
I got really confused.
yes. So don't worry. I'll give you the one about the creature that's been.
Wasn't that right after they crushed a bunch of things to death, and they were like, "Yeah."
The Oozmen. Yeah,
they crushed them to death under a giant metal box.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So so go ahead. This is yours.
This time, the feature is in Paramount's hands. It's Morphin time for Jonathan and Twistle. Boy, I would hate to have that last name as a kid. The filmmaker, perhaps best known for creating the next Netflix series, The End of the Fucking World, is taking on Power Rangers, a new version of the colorful family adventure franchise, this time set up at Paramount. Also, Knives Out is a thing.
I would not imagine that meshing with Power Rangers at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not really gritty reboot. That's angsty reboot.
Yes, and you know that they want to take Power Rangers more.
Kimberly, what are you doing? I'm smoking weed. What the fuck do you think?
Entwistle is in early negotiations to direct a feature project that would reboot the title. Power Rangers was a 90s TV series and global marketing franchise initially called the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers that used footage from a Japanese children's show, where Rita Repulsa, aka Bandora, summoned Satan twice.
Japan.
I am not making this up. Like in the Zoo-Ranger series that made up the first season of Power Rangers, Rita Repulsa summoned Satan twice.
Where's the Doomslayer when you need him?
The premise involved a group of kids who become superheroes, each with his or her own color-coordinated outfit and matching helmet. The show first aired on Fox Kids, then on Disney-owned channel in the 2000s. A movie also hit theaters in 1995, which Decker is now familiar with, despite trying not to be.
God damn it.
In 2019, Lionsgate produced...
2017.
2017, Lionsgate produced and released a feature that rebooted the title, making it less kid-friendly and giving it a more brooding young adult edge. The pick bombed, grossing only $142 million worldwide on a budget of around $100 million. If I had anything that made $142 million, I would not consider that a failure.
Unfortunately,
how much did it cost to make? That's the next thing.
It's like how much it costs to make, how much the marketing costs, what exactly of the $142 million went to the filmmakers as opposed to the box office itself.
Yeah,
I can guarantee you probably one of the things they probably said is that it's got to make X amount of money or else, something else is going to happen. So, I could probably imagine when they put these things all together, they put a target together to say, this is the amount of money we expect to get back from it, So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because keep in mind, the Pixar did The Good Dinosaur, and that still, made, what people will consider a good amount of money, but then there's the amount of money that they actually put into it to actually make it and to actually, market it and everything like that. So, just because you make $100 million at the box office, it doesn't necessarily mean it covers all the costs that are going around the world,
Yeah, exactly.
Plans for a series of films were scrapped. Now, in Paramount's court, Power Rangers is getting rebooted once more, in a way that hopes to return the franchise to its roots. The story is said to involve a time travel element that brings the kids to the 90s, and in Back to the Future fashion, they have to find a way to get back to their present. Patrick.
What? Why? Why? Are they going to stop for skydiving and rollerblading while they're around?
Yeah, obviously. What they're going to do is that going over to doing rollerblading and hanging at the milk shop place, and then they're going to go, talking about tubular things and skateboarding, dude.
You know what? I've not watched Power Rangers since Turbo, so for me, I just completely have been away from the whole Power Rangers saga, so I have no idea. I know what's his face.
I've heard that a lot of people cut off around Turbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I cut off like after like our series because I just kind of like lost interest after a while. After I saw the second movie where you have that kid as the Blue Ranger, I was like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
When I did the Power Rangers podcast,
I just saw the episode where they crossed over with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I just basically just said, yeah, okay, that's where I ended. Like I don't think you can really do any better than that.
I think I remember that. I didn't see much of it. I remember like the turtles showing up, Power Rangers like, okay.
yeah, exactly.
And that's
the people have actually asked Decker and I to review each season of Power Rangers.
Oh God, no.
That would require me actually sitting down to watch it all.
Linkara is still doing the history of the Power Rangers, and I think he's only.
I watched those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh man.
Let the man do it.
Yes.
I would like to do this with Decker, just because I know it would hurt him.
Lone Dragon was saying superhuman samurai. Oh yeah, sure. And teenage tattooed alien fighters from Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills, yes.
And there was the big bag Beetleborgs as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Street Sharks.
And Street Sharks. Yeah.
Even though that was more of a Ninja Turtles thing, but whatever.
Yeah.
Patrick Burley wrote the upcoming.
There's the Biker Mice from Mars as well. I remember them too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Biker Mice from Mars. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was all that was a thing. Like just kind of like superhero teams. It was
VR Troopers and VR Troopers.
Yeah, VR Troopers. That's right.
And then there was the ultimate parody from Animaniacs when they did the Power Rangers thing as well. If you remember that episode.
Yeah. I heard they did that because they got because Fox was going to cancel them because Power Rangers was more popular, so they made an episode that made fun of Power Rangers.
Yeah. Now that the Animaniacs are coming back, I'm actually.
Well, I'm interested to see what they do with. I'm interested to see what they do with the new Animaniacs. Like, are they going to go hard and heavy with some of the some of the stuff that's going on in today, or are they just? I mean, like, it'd be interesting to see, like, if they take on. I mean, one thing I'm a bit worried about is that I don't want them to get to South Park, like where it's kind of like, where they'll say, oh, hey, here's this subject matter, like, people are spending too much time with mobile phones, or they're buying stuff from Amazon or things like that. That's kind of, you guys are just trying to be South Park, So
well, don't forget that Animaniacs even did that something about the guy who's on his. Yeah, you remember that segment on Animaniacs about Get a Life where you have the guy on the computer, and they even mentioned references in Freakazoid about the guy constantly, bringing up all the nitpicks and stuff online.
On this episode, you said this, but however, if you go back 3 seasons, this person said this, which insinuates this, and therefore, how could this be with that?
Oh,
you need to get a life.
Yes, exactly.
It's funny, like, Teen Titans Go did an episode like that, and that basically just made the fans more angry at them, if anything.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, we're at the point now where it's actually that's your career. So.
Yeah.
I mean, think about who they're making fun of. That basically would mean that we're out of a job.
And Simpsons had comic book guy. They still do, technically.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so,
worst episode ever.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon Kilgore says fanboy. Yeah, that was on Freakazoid. Fanboy.
Yeah, that's fanboy, right.
Yeah. Patrick Burley, who wrote the upcoming Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway, is penning the script. And man, I cannot believe I just read that out loud.
Okay, this is another tangent. Let's get ready.
If there's ever a paragraph to fill me with absolute dread, that's the one. So, like...
Hasbro, who bought the property from creator Haim Saban in 2018, is producing the feature by its film arm, Allspark Pictures. On the surface, Entwistle is an outside-the-box choice for the shiny franchise, as his Netflix show, The End of the Fucking World, was dark and envelope-pushing, nearly the opposite of what you can get for a Hasbro property.
Well, not to mention that, remember, a few months ago, Snoop Dogg and Def Jam Enterprise and all that stuff, they're owned by Hasbro. Snoop Dogg is sitting comfortably with Pinkie Pie. So it's like, they've been known for having their dark stuff, so Hasbro's okay.
Fair point. The series, a dark comedy that he directed and executive produced, and
Death Row. I'm sorry, not Def Jam.
Yeah. and debuted its second season in November, told of the growing friendship between a teenage boy who believes he is a sociopath and is looking for a person to kill, and a girl who persuades him to ditch their homes for a road trip. Erstwhile is currently in post-production on I'm Not Okay With This, another Netflix show he co-created, executive produced, and directed. Also teenage-centric, Not Okay focuses on a girl dealing with high school life, her budding sexuality, and superpowers.
Normal teenage girl things.
But the director, repped by CAA and Grand View, has shown that he has a grasp on the voice of the younger generation, which Paramount execs hopes will translate into something unique and appealing on screen.
All right, so
I'm just imagining like getting a Megazord, seeing your bully's house, stomping on it, and then fucking Zordon's there, like, what the hell is wrong with you? And he's like, come on, man, that guy's an asshole. But you can't talk to me like that. You're just a big fucking head.
Thank you for choosing the big giant head. He cares about you.
I think Aaron is disappeared.
Oh no!
all right, now we can get over to the other Decker. Now we can finally get at the thing that you've been wanting to talk about. The thing that involves with a girl running around and a monster is chasing after her and she just so happens to have a minigun. So yes, let's talk about the Resident Evil 3 remake.
Yay.
So,
hey, sorry about that.
All right.
My internet went down for some strange reason, which is...
That's okay, don't worry about it.
Patricia's glitches are spreading throughout the world.
I know.
Okay, right now it's in
horrible.
Braille.
I got it. Hold on. I know I'm a horrible person. I deserve to be,
How is it
punished.
still in Braille? Okay, it's focusing. The announcement of a Resident Evil 3 Nemesis remake would have been shocking news had the digital listing for the game not leaked a week ago. Regardless, Resident Evil 3 was officially announced during Sony's State of Play broadcast with an April 3rd, 2020 release date. The surprising news is that it comes packaged with an online co-op game, Resident Evil Resistance, which is originally slated to be a standalone experience. As for what we can expect from Resident Evil 3, we don't know much yet, but the teaser trailer looks to retell the story from the original 1999 release that sees Jill Valentine being hunted by a rampaging beast called Nemesis. Much like this year's remake of Resident Evil 2, it looks like the player's journey through this classic will be a much different, and Capcom's website reveals it will use the same over-the-shoulder perspective as the new Resident Evil 2. Following the State of Play, Capcom revealed the game was coming to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. A collector's edition was also revealed. You can see it below.
Yes.
Giggity. $180, and you can get yourself an 11-inch Jill. What will you do with 11 inches of Jill?
Oh, God, no.
I was talking about a sandwich, a Subway sandwich. Excuse me. $5 footlongs. Mean nothing to you?
I get it. Jill sandwiches. Not funny, Decker.
These things are fun for the fans. I get that, but for the general public, I'm just I'm very surprised that if anyone will ever buy $180 on something like that. Don't get me wrong. I've got the big massive Halo helmet currently in my kitchen at the moment. So there are some people who will buy this stuff. But,
if there was an EDF edition that came with a little a wing diver statue, yes. And I might make a sandwich out of them, too. I have weird eating habits.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be playing Resident Evil. I still love Resident Evil 4. I'll get any Resident Evil game that you put in front of me, I'll always play 4. It's that's the one that's always I always feel like playing.
Yeah, I have fond memories of the first Resident Evil game when I saw it back. I had a cousin who was playing it, and I was about to watch Dragon Ball Z, and then he brought his PlayStation and he said, hey, I'm going to play some Resident Evil for a bit. And I had never played it before, and then when I saw the level where he was going into the basement facing off against the giant crocodile, that was amazing. Yeah.
I think my favorite Resident Evil game is Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, it's just I just feel like it's an awesome game. I did not like the remake of it. I was just like, why is it so freaking hard to see anything in this game?
Yeah. Well, it could be worse. You could be playing the Gamecom version of Resident Evil.
Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah.
I had a Gamecom. Why did I have a Gamecom? Lights Out on it worked.
Well, to be fair, I could.
You cut out there.
You got out again, Patricia. I'm sorry.
I had my fair share of Tiger Electronic hand. Fair, so.
The Gamecom had 2 cartridge slots.
Oh
Yeah.
wow!
Because otherwise, who would buy a second game for the damn thing?
Yeah, it's like, here's the thing, like, Tiger at the time just had, because they were the master of, like, producing cheap electronic plastic things, of course they were going to get handed out as birthday presents and things like that. So,
Yeah.
like, of course we were going to end up with Tiger games. It was inevitable. So, thankfully, my parents saw sense and decided to get me, a Game Boy for Christmas or my birthday, something like that. So, it was, after that, because, I think, I can't remember if it was my dad or if it was my mum who said that, oh, these Tiger handhelds. I think they complained about them at one point because they were taking up space in the drawers and stuff like that. So I think they kind of conceded and got me a Game Boy. And then that was kind of like, that was me set really for my whole Game Boy existence, really. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Now, okay, we're reaching over to the 5-minute mark. So let's discuss about some YouTube news. So let's bring up that a very popular YouTuber is going to be taking a hiatus in 2020.
I think he's taking like a week off, maybe, or a day. I don't know.
I don't know, but
you're a content creator. When can you afford to take time off?
Pretty much never.
Yeah, so it says right here that PewDiePie
every day that your views and watch time are not quite as high as the last day, YouTube starts kneecapping you. So the longer it does that, the harder it is to get back to where you were. I can't live
like that, man. Like, I'm one of the reasons why I never kind of failed over to do my talk radio show like long time is because I would be worried about what would happen if I took like a week or 2 weeks out, if I didn't get a chance to kind of like get some downtime, so I still also on top of that as well, like I work a full-time job because I feel like someone who wants to relate to people who work the 9 to 5 and want to do that, I don't feel I could relate to that person if I started doing this full time and started doing this as kind of like my job,
Yeah, I understand that. I just do this full time, and then whenever someone says, YouTubers, that's not a real job, I just get very defensive.
I think I also just I defend Instagram influencers, crying out loud.
I don't defend them, so fuck it.
If you're putting a business together, if you're I
can't figure out how to make money on Instagram, so they've got something on me.
Well, basically, if you if you're a good-looking woman, I bet you can make a lot of money on you.
Yeah.
But in regards to again, I defend anybody who makes an honest living. Just wants to make ends meet and do something that they enjoy. If you want to do that, then all power to you. But for me, I feel like I still want to be kind of the working man. The guy who's got to go through the 9 to 5 struggles. Relating to people who want to try and develop a career and get up to the point where. You can see the struggles of what people kind of go through, working a normal everyday job.
Being a YouTuber, I get to be my own boss, but then oftentimes I have to write myself up because I'm not doing a good enough job.
Exactly, yeah, and so there's that too, and but for me, if I started doing this full time, I guarantee you, look at some of the other look at Rush Limbaugh, for example, he's totally out of touch with reality, and he's been doing this for decades. And you look at other commentators who have made their way up the chain, and they'd say they're like millionaires who live in big houses, and they can't relate to the person who's struggling paycheck to paycheck, and they can't relate to the person who's got kids at home and struggling to make ends meet and things like that. These people go on TV and go on media and things like that, and they're expecting to reach out to people like myself. When I see someone like that on the TV, I just tune out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I have an article up right now for PewDiePie, who is going to be taking a break on probably maybe for a week or so. But yeah, they're making a big deal about it. It's like, oh no, PewDiePie is going to take a break.
Charlie watches PewDiePie on occasion. He was talking about this on his channel, where he's he just announced he was going to take a little time to himself, and there's been 50 articles just came up about how he's quitting YouTube.
Yeah.
In regards to PewDiePie, I don't care about him anymore as far as I'm concerned. Like, here's the thing about this: my whole existence from YouTube now is basically just gone. Like, I probably watch Hydraulic Press Channel. I probably watch. I probably watch a few other YouTubers. I watch Linkara, and I watch. I watch various other people as well. But besides that, like, my YouTube viewing has significantly dropped, since then. If anything now, it's just kind of like I'll probably take a little gaze at it for 30 minutes or so, and then after that I'll go do something.
Sure.
It's so for me, anyone here seeing me on YouTube right now is a rarity. Let me just safely tell you that. So.
All right. So yeah, I don't think they're basically just saying that Aaron, I think it's your turn. Why don't you read the article?
Yeah. So I have to read about PewDiePie.
We can read about something else.
Okay, no, I'll eat the shit down. Okay. YouTuber Felix PewDiePie Kilberg has announced that he's taking a break from the platform. I wish he'd go entirely. Kilberg announced his plans to step away from YouTube the next year in his video this weekend, where he's begun denouncing YouTube's recent policy updates concerning harassment. The sweeping anti-harassment policy went live on Wednesday, prohibiting harassment that suggests violence, as well as content that maliciously insults someone based on protected attribute. As a result, videos
wasn't that already against?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, they just don't. So it's one rule for one YouTuber and one rule for another. I guarantee you that. As a result, videos don't follow these guidelines are being taken down, and he says, "I think now is a great time as any to announce that I have special announcements to make. I am taking a break from YouTube next year because I made up my mind." He says at the end of the video, "I'm tired. I feel tired. I don't know if I can. You can just so you know, early next year, I'll be away for a while and explain later that I want to give heads up." It isn't mentioned. It isn't the first time he has alluded to stepping back from YouTube. PewDiePie mentions to come back break from August 2019. I do think it will be good for me to take a break at some point. He said at the time it would be nice to not have YouTube in my brain for the first time in 10 years. Well, I mean, you can go off and do something else. I mean, be productive with your life rather than, some of the stupid shit you've got yourself into the last couple of years. But, that's just my opinion. Keith Jelberg married his girlfriend, Mazia Bosgan, a former YouTube personality, the same month. Jelberg is not alone in his complaints over YouTube's anti-harassment policy. Not long after YouTube revealed the changes, many creators responded on force of social media by getting the hashtag YouTube is over party trending on Twitter. I guarantee you it's not over.
It doesn't take much to get that trending on Twitter. YouTube just has to
slightly
alter the look of a button.
Yeah, I know exactly. On top of that as well, there was a Twitter trend going for a political commentator called Owen Jones, and basically a lot of people started trending Owen Jones is a wanker day. And because obviously a lot of people don't particularly like him, and so I shared my opinions on basically on him, and then all of a sudden, in nearly an instant, suddenly solidarity with Owen Jones Day suddenly started trending. So yeah, it's not hard at all to get a couple of thousand people to trend a Twitter trend now. Before it used to be a big thing to do. When Twitter was basically just kind of like this one, with one site, and now all of a sudden it's kind of been broken up into various other kind of sub, kind of other subcomponents, the United States, United Kingdom. It's been regionalized basically. So in those contexts, yeah, it's easy to get stuff trending. It doesn't take that much at all.
Mm-hmm.
But and it's kind of given a kind of false sense of reality, really, because, when we had the general election, a lot of people were looking at the trends and saying, oh, vote Labour. It's like, oh, hey, the Labour Party is going to win. Then all of a sudden they got trounced by, hundreds of seats. And, now Jeremy Corbyn's having to resign. And now you got Joe Biden doing the whole, flaying things arms in the air. It's like, the Democrats can't be too left or else, we're going to lose to Trump in 2020. So, it's unfortunately, social media can give everybody a kind of a false sense of reality, and I think unfortunately a lot of the younger, more to the left, people who were hoping that Jeremy Corbyn was going to be the next prime minister, unfortunately, I think got a very harsh lesson in basically how unrealistic some social media platforms can be.
Yeah. I think that I think we could just end this right here. I don't think there's that much to say, and we already reached 10 o'clock, and we already reached our point. So I think we could just
reached
wrap
4 o'clock in the morning, so I think that's going to be a record for me in regards to broadcasting. So,
yeah, exactly. Go to bed.
Yeah.
Charlie's telling me she's hungry, and I'm like, no eating.
Yeah, I think we can wrap
it
things
is not
up.
allowed.
Okay.
Also, we had a $2 super chat from Don Ochtenberg saying, have you guys seen RWBY? If yes, do you like it? I haven't seen that.
What's RWBY?
That's Ruby.
Well, all I see is like little clips of it occasionally as I'm scrolling through Twitter, and out of context with no sound, I have no fucking idea what's going on. There's a lot of fighting, and people look kind of 3D anime characters. There's this guy with a furry tail. He's got a furry tail.
Yeah,
the kind you get at conventions. He's just got it there.
Yeah. Basically, Ruby is an animated series done by an animator, Monty who sadly passed away a few years ago. It's basically, from what I understand, it's kind of akin to like Reboot or Dot Hack, in which you have these people who are playing like an online game, and you're seeing like their avatars, and you get to their perspectives. I heard it's really good. Yeah, that's what Ruby is.
What have you got going on, Patricia?
Well, the other day I just posted up my pros and the Jungle movie, and
the Jungle movie.
I did part 1 of 3 parts. Pros and Hair of the Jungle movie.
Yeah.
And
so basically, we're going to be doing the 3-part series. So we've released the pros of what we think of Hey Arnold the Jungle movies. The next episode is going to be the cons, and then after that's going to be the aftermath. So
yes,
we're going to basically be giving the Hey Arnold fans what they want. And so
yes, it's actually been my most requested thing on my channel. It's been overdue for 2 years, and also
Hey Arnold fans just keep badgering me to keep talking about Hey Arnold as much as I can because they want sex.
Yeah, and also I want to give a quick announcement. I'm finally going to be archiving podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Mixcloud, and a whole bunch of other places. So, you can go check those out. So Mondays are going to be posted.
Come to me, ditch YouTube and come to me and live in peace and prosperity and away from the horrendous, YouTube restrictions and content strikes and things like that. Come over here to the promised land.
Hey, you don't like spending like weeks working on a project and making sure that it's all right and trying to make sure all of your little technology works together, and you create it and it's beautiful and you want to put it out there, and then you're immediately told by like 12 different companies, actually we own like 5.5% of this, therefore you owe us all the money, and also no one can see it.
I'll tell you what, the next thing I create for YouTube, they can shove it up their ass as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah.
So
I'm free from YouTube as far as I'm concerned. I've never been happier in my entire life.
So yeah, if you want to go check me out on, if you're interested in the podcast, Mondays I have my podcast Casual Chats. Tuesdays I have War in Between, where I go over each episode of As Told by Ginger. Wednesdays, Aaron and I discuss about every Pixar movie in random order. Thursday, Aaron and I discuss about every DreamWorks movie in chronological order. And then Fridays, I'll be posting up my interviews. So
both line says Aaron for the win on Twitch.
Thank you so much. And, here's the thing as well, when we come back, we're doing the Arrow Meta show, I'm going to see if I can try and start doing live shows on Twitch again.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to try and do that as well. And so, I mean, the aim goal really is to kind of like get us like really rolling with, doing something that's kind of like resonates, having a proper radio station. Because I do miss the terrestrial days. When I would people would tune into like doing onto a frequency, and all of a sudden, hey, the Arrow Messenger comes up. Then I'm talking about hey, here's what comes up next. I do miss the radio station days. I don't miss being told what to do by producers. I definitely don't miss that. But I mean, in regards to being part of a family and being part of a team and everything like that, I do miss those days. And to everyone who's out there, on North Manchester FM 106.6, on Pure 107.8 FM, and on Fuse FM as well, like on Block Talk Radio too, like, all you guys, if you're out there and you're listening to me right now, and, I do miss you guys, and, we had something really special, that time.
Yeah.
So thanks, guys.
What do you got, Creepy?
Tomorrow, hopefully, barring any technical difficulties, I have my new X-Men review coming up, and it's an episode that is seasonally appropriate, we'll say.
I know what you're referring to, yes.
Yes. That's coming up. Hopefully there will be a gem review this month as well.
Oh, goody.
Probably not going to be at the beginning of the month because Christmas, obviously. So if it does come out, it'll be towards the end of the year. But there's that. There's also I'm going to be getting the DuckTales script written soon, hopefully. So that's coming back. And hopefully, I will also hopefully have a new Supernatural Spotlights. So.
Okay.
Pudok says, "Happy winter, everyone. Today's the solstice. That it is."
Oh,
well,
yeah,
it's actually, it was yesterday for Aaron.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But what I got going on, the planned review next week would be Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I don't know whether or not it's going to actually be viewable next week because it is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to upload even 3 seconds of this without it being hit with a copyright claim.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
it'll definitely be a lot better than the previous 2 dinosaur movies you watched. So
yeah, I know a lot of people say Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, terrible movie. I'm not sure, still haven't seen it, but I'm pretty damn certain it's going to be a hell of a lot better than Pterodactyl and the Eden Formula.
Yes.
What about Power Rangers, though? Will it be better than that?
I don't know. Power Rangers might be better.
I think I've only seen the first Jurassic World movie, and I think the new Jurassic Park movies. I think that's the only ones I've actually seen. I think I've not seen any of the others.
Right. So I've seen them all except for this one.
Okay.
Rather enjoyed Jurassic World, but it was a different kind of Jurassic Park. Fallen Kingdom looks a little more Lost Worldy, which is not a good sign to me. But I also got Langoliers here. I'm gonna have to get it for Creepy and Patricia, but. That is a slated future Stephen King drinking game episode of Live and Wired, where we will get nice and sauced, and hopefully I will not die. Maybe I won't even vomit this time.
Nice.
But also, the gaming channel, I haven't uploaded any gaming content to that channel since, October. So it's a very, very much back burner. It's like the next city over. Someone else's stove on the back burner there. But I do have the start of something that might be able to fix that little error, get things working a little bit better with the workstation, get some actual stuff going on with the gaming channel where I can actually stream some stuff, and it actually is a decent frame rate and looks nice and all that stuff. My internet here is great. My computer, my desktop, this thing is a horrible piece of shit. This thing has a Nehilim i7 processor in it. That's a first generation from 2008.
Oh, wow.
Think about that. There's a reason why I can't do a damn thing with this thing. There's a reason why my Surface could process and produce my 4K reviews better than this.
I think my strongest i7 right now is in my laptop, and then my other one after that's probably from 2014, something like that. So I've got a significantly old processor in my gaming rig, but it still plays Black Mesa, still plays Friday the 13th, still plays Football Manager, so still does the job.
I just wanted to show this off real quick. The first part of my new PC that Charlie has purchased all the pieces for, because if she still had the money in her account, the government might take it away. But it's a fun thing living on SSI because of disability. But
sure. Well, Decker gets that.
Why is off doing that?
I got this from Aaron. I got a Ripley's Believe It or Not book.
This would be the first piece of one of the largest, most expensive puzzles I'm ever going to put together in my life.
All right, and that's just raw. Cool.
That's very nice.
Rogue Series Z390E. It's an 1151 Intel slot on there, so it can take an i9 9900K, which is also coming.
Nice.
Cool.
So yeah, that up to 64 gigs of DDR4, up to 3-way Crossfire, even though Crossfire is really not supported anymore, but got an RX 5700 coming, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You got just a simple little 120 millimeter water cooler. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy now. 1 terabyte M.2 NVMe SSD, of course. So yeah, this is going to be interesting when it's done, and I hope nothing fucks up. I really hope I don't break it putting it together.
Let me simply say this. I think you're going to have far more luck putting that gaming PC together. Right now, I'm currently trying to put together I'm basically trying to treat 2 gaming PCs as servers at the minute to kind of like do my IT work. And I guarantee you right now, the software I'm trying to put on them right now basically can't recognize the network cards that are in the motherboard. So I'm having to basically take apart the installer, have to put in customized network drivers to basically run it all. It's basically super complex stuff I'm trying to do here. Like, it's and I have no idea. After I've done it all, I have no idea if it's even going to work properly or not. You know, I mean, it's basically just to install it and then all of a sudden just kind of shut down and say, sorry, can't do it.
Both Wine on Twitch is saying, make sure you ground yourself to metal to get rid of static and make sure you read the instructions, and you should be great. Oh yeah, I already have some. I got a 3-pack of metal grounding wristbands that have that little wire attached with the alligator clip. You put it on a piece of metal, and there you go. You're good to go. Keep it tight enough to keep the metal on your wrists, and you're fine.
Well, there's also that as well, but also there's just make sure that you ground yourself and you know, make sure when you handle computer parts, if you touch the table to start off with and to ground yourself, then you'll be fine after that as well.
Yeah.
But obviously, yeah.
Usually I don't have carpets around here, so I usually don't build up too much static anyway. But it's still a good idea. Just be sure, be safe. And I got the little wristband. It was $7 for a 3-pack, so
yeah,
I'm covered. And if anyone wants to help me, which they won't, but if they do, they're covered too.
One thing also I would warn you to do as well is that when the processor comes, make sure that it comes with a good compound, and also that one thing I would definitely not do is stick with these heats. Is it an Intel processor? You're trying to get an AMD?
I got an Intel processor. I have the heatsink here.
Yeah. One thing I would do is that I mean, you'd be all right with the. Well, yeah, let's wait for that. One thing I was going to advise, but yeah. So one thing I would do is that's the CPU.
Corsair H60.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to advise on you next, because one thing I would advise anybody to do is that if you want to stick with the original heatsink, then, you know,
There is no heatsink included with the i9.
Is there not?
No heatsink, no compound. There is a thermal compound already plastered on this, but I have some thermal paste I have myself that I could just...
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, use the stuff that's on there, because, I mean, that knows what to do, but, I mean, in regards to, like, if you were going to be... you're going to use the original heatsink of the Intel processor, use it temporarily, and then if you can get like either water cooling or if you can get like one of like the Be Quiet, like
I think that they know that anyone who buys an i9 is not going to be using whatever little shitty fan they include with it.
Yeah.
So they just don't. They're like,
okay.
Here's your processor. Just deal with the rest yourself. We'll save a little bit of money there, and we'll put it in a dodecahedron.
I'm very surprised at that, because some of the processors I've bought always had like...
Oh yeah, a lot. It's pretty standard for a processor to come with a little tiny shitty heatsink and fan. But the i9 is like, nah, fuck it. You get the processor.
Right.
Water cool it or something. I don't know.
Also, on top of, one other thing I will also warn people as well, if you're buying your computer components from AliExpress, go to a tattoo parlor and get the word doofus put right in front of your skull.
Oh,
okay?
no. It was like Amazon Newegg. There we go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's AO.com as well. They're pretty good at doing stuff like that.
I forget which other shop I got something from, but it was the OS. I got Windows 10 Pro thing. 64-bit. It's your basic, like, I'm going to use this to work, and I need much more than 4 gigs of RAM. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And so also support your local computer store as well, because there's some really nice guys in there who help you out. And,
Yeah,
you know.
we're already about 18 past. I think we're already coins.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I think I might put together a little video of me putting together the computer for the gaming channel, just as sort of insurance in case I completely fuck it up. I get content out of it. That's going to be an expensive ass video.
Yeah.
But yes. Thank you all for joining us. I have been Decker Shadow.
I've been that long-haired creepy guy.
I've been Patricia.
I've been Aaron.
And remember, static. It's a thing. Can fuck up things real bad. If you're working on $2,000 worth of things that can fuck up, just touch the sink. Touch the sink.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.